All right. What's up, everybody? How you doing out there? Welcome back to the show. This is last week's fights. My name is Thinker St. James, and tonight we are going over each and every fight from UFC Fight Night, Adesanya versus Pyfer, giving you our predictions for UFC Fight Night, Moicano versus Duncan. And to do all of that with me, as always, the man, myth, and legend, the Ohio player, a man who is definitely going to get a video package when he retires, Mr. Chase Parton. How are you, brother?
I am very, very good. Of course, it is Monday. We had fights on Saturday, and whew, we got a lot to talk about. So I'm very excited for this episode.
Absolutely, a ton to talk about from this card. Good Lord. A lot to go over. Of course, we will do all of that. I don't want to set us off on a bad foot, Chase. I definitely want to keep the energy upbeat and positive, but I do want to make a very brief mention just to get it out of the way at the start. We have a friend named Rwand. He lives in a country called Kurdistan, and currently they are having some political unrest due to a multitude of factors involving geopolitical engagements going on over on that side of the world. And I wanted to make sure that I said that we're thinking about you, Rwand. We hope that you're well. We hope that your family is well, and that you are able to be safe out there. And yeah, I just wanted to put that out there because Rwand is a great dude. Kurdistan has always been really great to us. Every time that Kurdistani people are in the chat, they're always very upbeat and positive and fun to be around and to interact with. So I just wanted to send our support from last week's fights all the way across the sea. Hope that you guys are able to stay safe.
Absolutely. I appreciate that, Thinker, because Rawan's our boy out there, everybody.
Yeah, most definitely. So with that out of the way, of course, yeah, I mean, was there anything else that you wanted to talk about before we got into this card? I know that we did watch a couple of other things. One championship. Anything that you wanted to mention?
No, I just want to give a big shout out to the chat real quick.
Of
Obviously,
course.
Sanjay, John Dong, you guys are here early. Appreciate you guys, and hopefully you guys are ready for a big discussion because there's a lot. I mean, and I don't even know if there's anything you would like to throw out there, Thinker. Let's put the ball in your corner real quick because I know you kept up with some other organizations over the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, really, just the only things that I would say is that Karate Combat had an event in Russia this past week that was pretty good, I would say, for an opening show in a far off land for that promotion. It was a co-promotion with, I believe, RCC MMA, I think was the name of the organization. It went off pretty well. I thought it was a decent show overall. And then we watched Anthony Pettis's fighting championship as well. That was really cool. And our friend Jeremy Hall, who trains in Wisconsin, had two teammates on there. So shout out to the dude Ashanti and shout out to the dude Trace, who both won their fights.
So that's actually a really great point. I'm glad you brought it up. Bleeding Edge, shout out. Appreciate you for stopping by. But the point that you tuned into the Pettis show. And that is really great because we got to see episode 1 of the promotion for the movie that we are going to go see next week, Beast 2026. Gosh, that title sounds ugly when you say it, but hey, it probably looks like a really cool symbol somewhere. Anyway, the movie comes out next week, and you happen to see the fight promotion that had the main actor. Is that correct? Is that how that went?
Correct. Yes. Yeah. I think his name is Daniel McPherson. I think is his name. If maybe I'm, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody out there, but I think that it's Daniel McPherson. He's an Australian gentleman. Seemed like a nice guy. Definitely was interested in the fights, and he's doing a little press tour. So yeah, of all the promotions, he was at Anthony Pettis's fighting championships out in Wisconsin, and he was there watching the fights, doing a little interview, and yeah, promoting the film. And we are definitely going to be watching the film. We're going to be reviewing it for MMA on Film. We're hopefully going to be seeing it as soon to opening night as possible. I think we're both probably going to end up seeing it on opening night or prior to that in an early release. So either way, we will be there. We will be watching, and we will be giving you guys our review very soon.
Absolutely. It's going to be very exciting. Now, and one last question about that. Did you feel like you saw some sort of extended version of the trailer? Because there's some shots that they have, obviously there's a couple of different versions of trailers, but do you feel like you saw like a real good example of what this movie is going to be? Because when I heard your commentary about it, that was kind of like, dang, I feel like he's seeing some stuff that I haven't seen yet. So what was your take?
Yeah, it might have been. I think I might have seen the extended version of the trailer. It wasn't like 5 minutes long or anything like
Mhm.
that. I think it was like the maybe minute 30, if I'm recalling. I got a little bit more of the impression of the plot than I might have had before. we'll withhold all judgment on these things, of course, until we actually see the film. I would say that based on my, on my interpretations, it was a very straight down the line kind of story. But we did just review a film called Bloodsport, which is also a very straight down the line kind of story, and that was awesome. So this could be too.
Absolutely. So shout out one FC. Appreciate.
Absolutely. Yeah. Shout out to one for not only getting themselves involved in the film industry, but also doing the smart thing and promoting it on mixed martial arts broadcasts. It's a risky endeavor, I would say, trying to have your product represented on UFC and UFC adjacent offerings, but they are doing that because that Beast trailer was also on the UFC broadcast that we're going to be talking about here.
Absolutely. And we have plenty to talk about for the UFC broadcast, of course. So everybody buckle up
I
and shout
was
out
going to
me Rocket.
Yeah, shout out to everybody in the chat. Thank you guys so much for being here with us on a Monday night. Yeah, I'd say that we should just get right into this card, of course, because this thing there's so many twists and turns, so much craziness on this card that we got to just jump right in. I would say so. UFC Fight Night: Adesanya versus Pyfer. This took place at the Climate Pledge Arena in Seattle, Washington. Before we start, Chase, what were your thoughts on this thing?
Well, initially going into it, I mean, you look at the names and it's actually not even that bad of a card. I mean, when you look at, everything that happened, i a lot of unexpected things. That's the only thing that you can say. I mean, nothing could have predicted you for how crazy of an event this was, and not in a good way. I've actually heard people saying like, "Oh, this is one of the best events of the year." Like, "Holy shit, like that was such a good event." Are you guys fucking kidding me? Are the integrity of the sport is at question right now? Not just after one, but maybe seven different bouts on one different night. So whatever.
Brother, I'm so glad that you put it that way too, because like sometimes when that is like the prevailing thought, there's just like a prevailing thought in the community. I feel like I'm going crazy. You know what I mean? It's like I laid out my reasoning for why I did not think this was one of the best events of the year so far, and it was pretty much in line with basically what you just outlined there. I'm kind of in lockstep with you on this one. Going into it, I thought that this was a good card. I mean, quality names on the card. It seemed like it was going to be pretty good, and then just so much craziness happened. We did have a lot of finishes. I do acknowledge that, but there's too many elements that tainted this thing, put a sour taste in your boy's mouth leading into main card, and we'll talk it all through. So why don't we get started with it? At least the first fight of the evening was one that's not really was not really too crazy. This is a little bit of a slow roll into this thing. This is Alexia Thainara versus Bruna Brazil. What'd you think of this fight, Chase?
This was one of, and of course it was the first to start, but this was one of the more normal fights. Obviously, what have I been telling you guys? If it's a female fight, first fight of the night, banger. I mean, come on. Like, you can't go wrong with a fight like this. It was definitely fun for me. Bruna Brazil is still doing nothing for most of her fights. I don't know how she gets away with it, but she looks good when she does it. That's the thing, guys. She puts a little mean face on. Like, I don't know if you guys caught that. She's like, and she does that the entire time. It's adorable. And then Alexia really getting a win back in a positive way. She lost originally, and if you've seen the clip, guys, I mean, it was a standing guillotine, and she didn't even know what to do with her hands. It was just lack of experience at that time. You knew she was not going to come in here and get caught with something like that again. Bruna Brazil really had nothing for her. It looked like Alexia was going to start gassing out. And, the coach is, you got it right where you want her. You got to finish it right here. Bruna Brazil does nothing until the last 5 seconds of the fight where she fucking kicks her in the face with a fucking spinning back kick. Now, granted, Alexia Thainara has one of the greatest chins I've ever seen in my life, because this was not just a kick. If you guys have ever seen an animal of like a horse or a donkey or a mule,
It's a
when
mule kick.
dude, the way with the heel too, like it's not just like it connected in a weird spot. Like, no, she took the heel, the ball of her foot directly to her chin, and she wasn't falling down. DC screaming that she's hurt. She's hurt. I mean, she wasn't wobbled or anything. She went in for the clinch, but like, she tanked that shit on the chin. She drove through the force of it. Look, I'll give her 10 times props here. Good
Yeah,
deal.
exactly. And I mean, just to be clear, though, you're saying that this was a banger fight because Bruna Brazil is attractive, right?
No, she doesn't get destroyed, but like I don't know. I thought this was a fun compared to everything else, guys. I thought again, first fight of the night, females. I think you can't really ask for much. I mean, we see some other female fights later on down the line, the road. Like This one right here is acceptable. I thought Bruna Brazil did better than she did last one. She didn't bring her A game because she never fucking does, apparently. But again, she looked good doing it. She put a mean face on, and Alexia Theanora got to showcase a lot of her skills. She got to show that she's actually really fucking good. And that's all you can ask for out of a fight. I thought this
Yeah.
was, don't be a
Well,
hater. Thank you for that.
I, I mean, look, I would say that this was a fine fight. I'm not saying that this was a bad fight. I would say that compared to other women's openers that we have seen that have been bangers, maybe on the lesser side of that scale. But yeah, no, this was fine. I mean, it was definitely, like you said, a good showcase of Alexia. And really, I mean, how many times in competition actively now do you see a can opener being attempted? I mean, that was legit, and not even attempted, actually succeeding with it. Like Alexia Thainara was giving her the old school can opener for several instances there. I was like, all right, she's pulling out all the tricks here.
I did like that. That was a very interesting one because when you first saw her do it, you were like, "Oh shit, she's actually got something crazy we've never seen." But then she just kept going for it. It was probably annoying, but whatever. One thing I will say, and we should have known that this card was going to be interesting because you had Feyenoord and Bruno Brazil up against the cage, just kneeing the shit out of each other, like just constantly kneeing each other. Like it's nothing really happening up top, but they are definitely kneeing the body. And the ref is sitting here yelling at him to start, go, do some action. It's like, what are you talking about, dude? Like,
Bro.
he didn't separate them, but like, it's as if he didn't see that there actually was things going on.
Yeah,
So
it
that
was
was an
very
interesting one.
certainly foreboding as to what we were going to be seeing later on with other reffing decisions. But yeah, I mean, look, this is pretty well. You're saying that Bruna did better than her last fight. I'd say that maybe there's a modicum of that. But what this really was to me was Bruna Brazil showcasing exactly why she is not of the caliber of the UFC. Sad to say. I mean, she has no killer instinct, and it seems like she loses the will to win as the fight gets further down the line. Like the fight keeps going on, and she just sort of like pulls back and almost, I guess, starts doubting herself. I don't want to put too much out there. This is just what the perception feels like. But like she also never puts any power on her shots when she does have the will to win. So it's like, where is the connecting point that's going to make you an actual winner? It just doesn't seem to be there for her, especially when you have Dayanara on the other side, who was doing a lot of activity in this fight. She was very active throughout this whole thing, making it her fight. Aside from a select number of shots from Brazil, including the kick that you referenced at the very end, this was entirely Dayanara's fight, like really from front to back. She kept a great pace. She got her takedowns. She just did everything she needed to do. And Brazil had one kick. I mean, I really not other way to say it. I said the only thing missing for Thayanara was the finish. It was a fine win. Aside from that, if she had gotten a finish in this fight, it would have been icing on the cake. But other than that, a very dominant performance. 30-27s across the board makes perfect sense to me.
I think it makes perfect sense. And sadly, Bruno Brazil, I mean, you got to go, girl. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that was the last note on the section here is cut Brazil. It's nothing personal. I'm sure that there's a plethora of other organizations that would have. Ariane Lipsky just went over to
Thank
PFL.
you. That was exactly what I was gonna say. Like you could literally just go to PFL right now, 7 losses on your record, and just go be a champ in 2 fights or whatever the fuck that she just did. Like I didn't even know that. How has she had multiple fights in the PFL already? Like
Oh,
I don't know.
multiple. I didn't even know that.
I
I
mean,
saw it pop up recently.
did she win her debut or she won a belt? I don't know what she did, but either way, she did something.
Yeah,
And Bruno Brazil could do something similar.
exactly. That is certainly the takeaway there. Bruno Brazil, you can go and have a fine career somewhere that is not the UFC, unfortunately, but it is what it is. And Thayanara continues on. I mean, what are you thinking for Thayanara at this point? I mean, she's gotten a couple of solid wins now. I mean, she has finishes on the record as well. Like, I think that it's probably about time that she gets a little bit of a bump up in competition. No.
No, no, she's very good. I'm actually a really big fan of her. She came in with a storm. She got back a loss that she had early on in her career, the only loss on her record. So sky's the limit right now. She showcased a lot of skill. She showcased that she's not gonna, you know, with a lot of body strikes, she didn't gas out. She was still willing to go all the way to the bell. Even then, even if she's been a finisher before, we saw her go to decision. We just need to see her. I don't know. We need to see her against somebody who's actually going to give her a war kind of deal.
Yeah, exactly. I think that that's about where she's gotten to. It's like, okay, we need to get her stepped up to the point that she's actually having to try a little bit harder than she has before.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. Anything else on this one? This was pretty down the line, I would say.
No, I like this one to start, especially because it was one of the ones that didn't have much BS going on, but we are soon finding out it starts.
I was going to say, we'll roll right into the next one then, and this is where the trouble begins. Oh, good Lord. This is Ricky Simone versus Adrian Yanez. I mean, look, to get it out of the way, first and foremost, justice for my dude, Adrian Yanez, in this fight. Now, I will say that on the rewatch, a couple of opinions maybe were a little bit different than what I got in the moment. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts on it in general, but not too far. It's not like it changed dramatically. It might maybe a couple of little minor things, and I'll get to them. But take it away, Chase. What did you think of this display here?
Yes, I mean, the fight itself was very, very good. It was
Yeah,
very close, but I think the best thing that I could do is explain the scoring, of course, from what my perspective and from what the actual judges decided. So from my perspective, I thought it was close first round, most likely Yanez. You know, second round, I personally gave to Simone. I thought it was fine. And even then, if they would have gave first round to Simone, that is cool too. After the second round, Korean John came up on the screen and said it was 2-0 Yanez. And in my opinion, I said, I mean, it could be 2-0 Ricky Simone. I don't know. He's pretty confident. It could be 2-0 Simone. It could be 1-1, whatever the case may be. Now, the third round, by no means is that a 10-8. There's no possible chance. But when you take that into consideration, you know, that's what the judges took. I mean, I don't know how to take it, but the other way, the judges actually scored. So what they actually did, both of the judges that gave the 10-8, they gave the first and second round to Ricky Simone.
all three.
So, no, I don't
Oh,
think all three.
well, actually, I think that not one gave Yanez the first round.
Yes.
Right,
Yes, exactly. So, and then he didn't give him the 10-8 in the third.
right.
So, yeah, it's pretty crazy that they gave Yanez a 10-8 in the third, but they also thought that he lost the first and second round. So it kind of feels like those are two contradicting things because the 10-8 for just one knockdown for a close round and then just a knockdown is pretty crazy. I mean, we've seen people beaten to bits in this fucking cage and they have not gotten 10-8s. Like 10-8 is pretty crazy. So for people to say that Yanez needs justice when the judges correct scoring had Simone up the 2 rounds and then there shouldn't have been a 10-8, then I think Simone rightfully should have won the fight. But in my opinion, from based off those facts, but from my opinion, I thought Ricky Simone probably lost this fight, which is actually pretty crazy. So yes, justice for Yanez because the scoring was just not even close to being correct, and that's
That,
where the real justice needs to happen. It's not that if the 10-8 or if that he should have, the fight should have been stopped or whatever. Like he was going to lose if they didn't give him the 10-8. Thankfully, they made it a draw because everybody walked away square, but the judges should have known that he won the first and potentially the second, and the third was whatever. So
right. I mean, you're hitting all the points here. That's why I said I'm not mad at the no stop because that was another narrative that was going around. Why didn't that referee stop it when he had gotten dropped so bad? But come on, there were 2 seconds left, and he was still trying to win, like to be in the fight. So I mean, I don't think that there should have been a stoppage at that point. Like watching it back, like under like microscope, there he was not out. He was still trying. I was okay with the no stop. I'm not mad at not being a 10-8 round on for the one judge or whatever, or if it being the 10-8 round. I think that the 10-8 round is not correct personally, but
yes,
if you decided that you thought it was a 10-8 round, I don't think it's right, but that's not what I'm mad at here. I am mad that this was 29-28 for Yanez. That is why I'm mad at. Like I think Yanez took that first round to me. I mean, like going back, especially with the hindsight of all of this, knowing what the decision was going to be, I really studied that first round. And yes, Simone turned up a little bit at the end of the round. It was a slow round, so it was hard to kind of judge all of it. But if you're going off of the activity for activity, there was activity on Yanez's side as well in that flurry, and he was doing the better work beforehand. So to me, like basically, like the sport is optics. We know that that's the case. What this felt like to me was recency bias of those last 30 seconds of that round, where it was like, oh, you saw a couple really nice strikes from Simone, and Yanez had a couple that maybe were not as impactful, but he was still throwing. You give it to Simone off of that. You're taking away the other 4 minutes and 30 seconds from the round if you do it that way. And the rest of that, there were tags from Yanez. He's the striker out of the two of them. He also stuffed Simone's takedown attempts. So, I mean, does that not count for anything? Like, we talked about this plenty of times. Like, should that not be somewhere in the equation if someone's trying to do something and you negate them from doing it? I think that that's also part of what should be taken into consideration here. So to me, I was pretty confident in that first round. Like, I had it 1-1 going into the third, and then the third happened, and we know what happened in the third. So like, I was like, when I heard these scorecards, I was like, I didn't even think that a 10-8 was going to be entering in the equation. I thought that that was something that people were going to be like, yeah, oh, I could have seen an argument for it. And it was like, no, that's literally what ended. And I'm just like, I'm sitting there looking at it. And this was the first big crash out of the watch along for me. Cause I'm like, every goddamn week, it's not even the fact that it went sideways. It's the fact that there's always a plethora. There's always an array of fuckery. It's not any one consistency in the fuckery. It's just a big make 'em up every week.
They were two steps deep in the fuck up. They fucked up by giving 10-8s, but then they also fucked up as if they didn't give those 10-8s. Well, they were giving Simone the fight, so that's the craziest part. But the thing that I think is interesting is, so in the second round, Simone gets cut right in the eye. It's towards the end. I was screaming probably a headbutt. That they didn't show no fucking replay. They didn't ever mention it no more in the fight. They didn't show it in the little box here. What shot clipped him? I'm assuming this is a headbutt. I think this is also what made the judging very difficult on this, because Simone's face was bleeding like no other, right from his fucking eye. But
Yeah, he did have it like the eyebrow cut on the sides, a bleed heavy location there.
so they didn't show me any shot that hit him with a hand. I'm still going with the headbutt on that one. But by the end of the third round, I mean, Simone's face was fucking destroyed. I mean,
Oh, I
so
mean,
it
you
was
saw
pretty
him in
bad.
the you see him at the when they're reading the scores out, and I mean, it was just both sides of his face just completely. He looked obliterated. It was really really bad.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But this was honestly really good fight. The fight is really good. Epic fucking war, to be honest, kind of deal. But the fact it ended in a draw with two, not one, but two stupid judges. I mean, even the third one probably wasn't even right. Like, to be fair, like, I don't even know what's going on with this fight. So is best case scenario that we just call it square and draw? No, because neither of these guys got paid their win money kind of deal. So that's the unfortunate part. But also, like, a draw is so fucking bad. Like, what are you doing? Like, come on,
Well,
you're I don't know.
and what I had said about too is like, look, I mean, Ricky Simone, 22-7 and now 1, it's like, okay, maybe 22-7 is not the worst in the world. It's not great, but it's not the worst in the world. Ricky Simone has a reputation of being a guy who's a quality fighter. So I think that carries on for him. Adrian Yanez, 17-6. I mean, he needs these wins, man. Like, you're now adding a 1 to the end of that unnecessarily when he went out there and actually won the goddamn fight. Like, it is a justice for Yanya's situation, in my opinion. Now, I hear what you're saying. It's like, yeah, it's better than a loss, but to me, that's like, that's a bad consolation prize. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a bullshit keychain. You don't need that shit. So, like,
Yeah.
anyway,
Okay.
no, that was really the end of the thought.
Yeah, I listen, I was very grateful that they voided the bet instead of everybody lose. But to be fair, everybody lost because we didn't get now we got to see a rematch. Like, now we got to actually, you might as well do it next week. If we saw Gushkov and Jan Blachowicz are about the rematch, get these dudes right back in there. To give Simone 7 weeks to heal his orbital, and we're good.
Yeah, no, I would like it, honestly. I mean, if it's the quality level of this first fight, then it certainly would be another good one to watch. So, yeah, I'd be okay with that. Yeah, this is an unfortunate one, I think that's also like, kind of the bigger point as well, is that when the fight is as hard fought as it was, you want the right man to win. I would say that even, like, I mean, maybe I'm putting words in his mouth, but I would think that whoever the rightful loser of a fight like this was would probably still want it to be the right decision at the end of the day, knowing that they also tried their hardest. I don't know. Maybe that's a little bit too much sportsmanship I'm putting on these guys.
Well, that's the listen. I've said it before. Is like, if you guys don't get mad at the judging for being stupid when it's fights that you don't care about, kind of deal. Like, don't sit here and try to act like your favorite fighter got screwed over because you didn't care when it was fucking Adrian Yanez. You know, you weren't even here for it, but you want to make a big deal about your favorite fighter. No, we got to be in the trenches talking about this stuff because people do get screwed over for no reason by people like Sal D'Amato, Mike Bell. What's the boxing guy? Tony Weeks? Oh
Tony
God,
Weeks, yeah.
these guys are ruining some stuff, man.
Oh yeah, well, and this is why I was crashing out on the watch along. I'm like, it is every week. There was that tweet that I had retweeted a while back that was like, it happens every week, and then the next fight starts, and we just take it and accept it. And there's like, to me, I'm at the point of trying to like figure out even what the fix is. Part of me wants to start like a change.org petition of some sort to be like, there needs to be. I don't know exactly how to structure it. That's why I'm workshopping this idea in my mind. But I think that something like a change.org petition against the ABC specifically. This has nothing to do with the UFC right now. But, I mean, like if we're really trying to get to the heart of it, because people like to conflate the two, this is the commission's problems. These are commission-based problems. And the fact that all of the commissions are using the same judges, that to me is concerning. They're using a lot of the same referees. We talk about this all the time. Why do we see, Herb Dean in fucking New York and then in California and then in Texas? You know what I'm saying? Like they're using a lot of the same people. We need a bigger variety of people overseeing this sport. We need better training and better oversight and just a more defined rule set that actually accounts for these things. This is the kind of stuff that I think could be actually impactful. If it's not all of that, I definitely think that there should just be some type of recognition of a need for change in general. And that's what I'm thinking about with the petition. So again, still workshopping this idea, but could be seeing something like that in the future because somebody has to say something about this shit. We can't be sitting here on this podcast week over week just saying this time and time again into the ether. You know what I'm saying?
I 100% agree, man. I mean, listen, change has got to come, everybody. We can stand together, use your voice. Jesus, the blood palm is strong. I'll tell you that.
Exactly. Absolutely. So we'll see about all of that. But either way, I mean, great fight over here. I really appreciate both these guys doing what they did. And hopefully next time, there's something, hopefully that they'll have them come back next time and redo this thing.
You know what's crazy though is like a move like this, a draw, whatever the case may be, is like, in your point of view, obviously kind of brings the mood down. But do you think the casual viewer is like, it's open ended, there's more to come, kind of deal? Like, are they excited after something like this, or does everybody understand that this was a major fuck up, kind of deal?
No, yeah, no. I think that the average person just does exactly what I said, where it's like, oh, okay, that happened. Now,
Well,
what's next? Who's coming up next? I mean,
true.
that's one of the things about the sport, man. They move it right along. The commentary. I think for this one, they actually did show the scorecards or whatever. So like that's generally your indicator that there was something kind of questionable there. So hopefully somebody at least recognized that. But the nice part about this sport from a promoter's perspective is, oh well, that's kind of crazy. Here's the next one. Cut to commercial.
Yeah. Yeah,
So.
play a movie trailer.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, anything else on this fight?
No, I think this one's just a crazy one to be second in the bouts list.
Yeah. So I mean, again, setting a tone for this thing that was kind of a little bit questionable to begin with, and certainly had me doing the old crash out, as I am wont to do.
Oh yeah.
Next up on the list was Mr. Navajo Sterling. He fought Bruno Lopez. What I said about this one, man, was that Navajo Sterling might be the most uninspired finisher in the UFC right now. And what I mean by this is it's like he knows how to initiate the sequence. He knows how to put pressure on and land shots, do all of the motions to get himself to a finished position. But then once the shot lands that is going to start the actual domino effect of finishing a fight, he just doesn't seem to have the instincts to actually take it to that point. So then you end up with a sequence like what you had here, where it drags on for a long time. This is one of the instances where I will give Keith Peterson, the referee, a little bit of credit here, because if he was not going to stop it for the uppercut that started the initial sequence that was going to lead to a finish, then what was the other right point to do it until he finally did, which I thought was okay. Because it's like that's my whole point with all of this, that like if it's the impetus is on Navajo to be the one to say, this is what's going to make you stop the fight. This is the shot. He doesn't do that. So it drags out into this long sequence that kind of, made it a little bit complicated for the referee to figure out the exact right point.
I remember this fight, and I was yelling like, "Don't fucking do it, Keith Peterson! I swear to fucking God, don't do it." He was doing a really good job. This was one of the better stoppages because he let it go on probably longer than any other ref should have, kind of deal. But like Bruno Lopez was genuinely fighting back. There was a point where he like tried to step in and then he faded back, but like Bruno Lopez was on the single leg or whatever. But all of that aside, the finish aside, Navajo Sterling, this right here, this performance. And again, I think it just comes with confidence because Bruno Lopez is just a punching bag, unfortunately. Navajo Sterling had the confidence that made me believe like this could be the specimen that we're waiting for at light heavyweight kind of deal. Not no champ kind of deal, not yet, of course, but he was walking forward. He was physically imposing. The striking was not it was powerful. It wasn't like he was, a striking point striker anymore, like from City Kickboxing. He was actually in there throwing some really good shots. And I thought he was doing everything that made me believe that he could, rise the ranks right now. He defended all the takedowns, he stuffed him up against the cage a bunch, obviously got the knockdowns, the finish was a little bit to be, but you guys got to remember, this is the first time he's finishing somebody in the UFC. From regional stuff, he's expecting to hit somebody and then they just don't get up. Like that's just kind of how it goes, He beat the four people in Australia that were the light heavyweights, and like now he's here. So he's 9-0 still. He has not got a finish in the UFC up until this point. I think we should cut him a little slack. He was measured enough to get it to round two. He still touches his face plenty in the middle of the fight, so that's unfortunate. But the shot landed. He went for the finish. Took a lot longer, but he didn't gas out. That's another thing that you got to think about. He did not, throw a big flurry and then he's just holding him for the rest of the fight. He was able to still get through and get the finish. So I think Navajo right here, this was a very good performance. If I was out there collecting a card right now, it'd be this performance right here of Navajo Sterling.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree with a lot of the points. I thought that, Sterling keeps a slow, steady pressure, which really works for him. You can tell that the guy's got power. I mean, like when
Mm.
he's landing those shots, he really also has a very effortless like throw of his shots. You know what I mean? Like you can tell that there's inherent power to him because he doesn't have to overextend the shot. He doesn't have to punch through your face. He really just has to death by a thousand cuts you, kind of thing. Like he just touches you up, then he gets you to the point where it's like now it's starting to mount. Now he rolls it in to a final conclusion eventually. But that's what I'm saying about the killer instinct part. Like I feel like all of the raw materials are there with this guy. He just needs to have the wherewithal. You can call it fight IQ, you can call it killer instinct, whatever you want to class it as. But he just has to have the awareness to say this sequence has now been initiated. This is the time to amp it up to that next level. To just get it done definitively. That's the only thing I want. Because really, we go back to the last episode of this show. What I had said is it is time for him to get a finish. You're saying, guys doesn't have a finish up until this point. We need to see actual finishing ability out of this guy to set him apart. He did that. So really, job well done on that part of it. I think that there's still that one little piece of the puzzle just waiting to be figured out for him. If he can get that piece put into place, then this guy might be a serious problem at that point.
I'm really excited for Navajo. I mean, obviously, I've been rooting for him. I feel like I've been a little hard on him, but I want him to be good. I want him to be great. At 9-0, it's obviously expecting a lot for somebody. But gosh, the division, now the champ just vacated kind of deal. Now we have a new champ coming to town like Navajo. You have so many opportunities to just rise the ranks and beat people like fucking Alexander Rakic. I see CTE over here saying Dustin Jacoby is a good test for him. I mean,
Yeah,
sheesh,
well, that was
sheesh.
that he said that in the watch along chat too, and I thought that was a really good one. That's also somebody who would be ranked competition, but no, he chose to call out Iwan Kutelaba. What do you think of that?
I think what I was thinking, and nobody was, I was watching this one and I was thinking nobody's going to get my reference, but he called out the dude who wants to fight this Saturday. Yeah, let's see if you're actually ready for it, dude. April 4th is when the fuck he said it. He called his date, and now you call him out. Well, you better meet him next week in the Apex, dude. Like, what are you talking about?
I mean, in this fight, Bruno Lopez was throwing pretty much nothing but spinning elbows that were defensive maneuvers more than anything else. So how much damage could he really have taken? You know, the
Yeah.
put up or shut up, brother. You got a date in the apex if you want it.
True. I think Cutelaba is an interesting dude, but that would be a really fun fight. Yeah, absolutely.
It's an interesting dude for sure, but it's an interesting call out for that exact reason. I mean, you'd think at this point with the win streak that he's on, I mean, maybe he's just a measured guy in general. Maybe that's really what we're coming to understand about Navajo Sterling is that he's not only measured in his fights, but he's just a very, like piece by piece kind of guy, one foot in front of the other sort of thing.
when when his post fight scrum was up, we were listening to him, and they were like, how'd you feel about that stoppage? He was like, I was waiting for him to stop it, but I was just pretty glad it wasn't me out there. It was either me or him, and I'm just really happy it was him. That's just the way it goes. I really do like Navajo because he seems like a really mature person for his age. I mean, obviously, look at the dude. I mean, he's fucking built out of whatever the Greek gods were, but this dude, he seems like he's there. He doesn't seem like he's out here partying and stuff. Like he clearly could with the city kickboxing crowd. Like he can just go hang out with Izzy and just go crazy. But he doesn't. So
Yeah,
I
I hear
appreciate
that
him.
Dan Hooker's pretty fun to party with, from what I understand.
I don't know if it's fun, but Navajo, if you want to take your risks, I mean, listen, I got a whole listen. There's this place called Thailand, right? They could have plenty of those opportunities for you, but you're good, man. I appreciate you.
Yeah, no, look, and exactly as you said, Chase. It might sound like I'm being a little harsh on Navajo Sterling. It really is in service of wanting him to be the next level that I think he can be. I mean, he's showing like I say, raw materials. The raw talent is definitely there. It's just a flip of the switch that I think needs to happen in his brain, and that's kind of what I was saying about the cautious nature of him as a human being. It could be more true than we're even letting on, or even he's letting on, because I think that there's just has to be that understanding that like I go back to that uppercut. That was the exact point. Bruno Lopez is going diving for the legs. He gets the uppercut. If you had pounced and just hammer fisted, it would have been over. Like we've seen other fights on this card that we'll talk about that was a similar situation. We'll talk about the co-main event where Killer Instinct was insanely on display. That is what separates the echelons of this sport, and I think that Navajo Sterling can get there. I just need to see that one little bit more.
Yeah, and before we move to this next fight, I want to highlight this one comment. I want to give a
Yeah.
shout out to CTE, of course, because he got here a little late, but I want to give him a shout out. But this comment is really funny. Cutelaba was supposed to fight Evo, but the UFC didn't get my call.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, I mean, Evo apparently has a fight of his own coming up, and we'll talk about that when it gets closer. But an interesting matchup to say, him versus Billy Elikana.
Hell yeah, love it. Son of
Uh,
Susie.
Son of Susie, big test in front of him. Anything else on this one?
No, I think we're good. Navajo, shout out you. I think you've made the leaps that I think you needed to. I would say against an opponent like this, of course.
Sure. And I'm thinking that you got one little extra leap that might be left, and then I'll be on the same page.
Hell yeah.
All right. Well, that takes us to one of two. Both female. No, excuse me. One of two, but not all women's fights. I was going to say all the women finished on this card, but no, we talked about the one that did not. This is Casey O'Neill versus Gabriela Fernandez. But yes, one of two female knockouts on this card. If you go by what the official decisions were on both of them. And this was certainly one of them. This is Casey O'Neill's big return. She had been out for a while. Apparently, the surgery that she had undergone was pretty extensive. She was saying that her doctor was saying she might not be able to fight again.
Don't they all?
I,
Doesn't every fucking doctor always doubt anybody to do anything? Like they are the biggest haters out there. I swear to you.
I was literally going to say the same thing. I'm like, I didn't want to be like too rude about that, but it is very common to hear that for whatever reason. Whatever the case may be, however extensive it was, O'Neill coming in against Gabriela Fernandez, who I would say in this fight looked noticeably cautious and inactive. And what I want to highlight when it comes to the Fernandez side, this is something DC said on commentary. He said Fernandez's corner advised her to let O'Neill lead in order to counterstrike. I said, if that is true, Fernandez needs to change gyms, because that was the worst advice that you could possibly give based on the outcome here and what it actually got out of her. I'm not even mad about the knockout part of that. What I'm mad about, if that was the advice, is everything leading up to it, because in this fight, like I said, very inactive, very cautious, very wanting to hold back her strikes, hold back her movement. Like she was waiting for the fight to come to her, and then the fight came to her in a way that she couldn't handle.
I think this is a very fun performance that was in and out, of course. Casey King O'Neill, King Casey O'Neill, excuse me, but that's
Yep.
Gabriela Fernandez. This is actually an average performance from her. I think this is exactly what she looked like any other time. I'm surprised Wang Tong did not piece her up, but Wang Tong really, she was setting up all of her strikes and didn't get to the point where she was, initiating all of the traps kind of deal. But Casey O'Neill just walked in and Gabriela Fernandez literally just has her fucking hands all low, like she's, I don't know, she has like that old Popeye kind of stance, and hands low, chin up, and she's just, the pace was just too much for her. Her coaches, that's playing to her strengths is what they told her is to, counter strike, and that's what she's good at. She's very powerful when she's able to, lead somebody and let them fall into her traps, of course. But Casey O'Neill did not fucking fall into no goddamn trap. She walked in there, and as CTE once again had just mentioned, with two left-handed gloves, she walked in there and beat Gabriela Fernandez. Not beat her, but knocked her out. This was honestly, it was one of those ones where again you're watching and you're like, oh my god, she's going down, and then you're like, well, there she, yep, she's done.
Yeah.
So this was
Well,
awesome.
yeah, I mean, it was certainly it was certainly a sight to behold, considering that Casey O'Neill put the pressure on her, the combo lands, and then Fernandez just got stun locked in this barrage of shots that were being landed. It was like you see it's a age old view vantage point that you have of these things, but like the first two land and it's like they're still there, and then you can just see that switch kind of going off where like they start to go out, and it's like boom, boom, boom. It just doesn't stop. And then they're deer in the headlights at that point. So yeah, this was a tough one in that regard. But I do want to say, and I'm not trying to be a hater again. Maybe this card just put a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth. So maybe I'm sounding a little more haterish than I might be. I don't want to get this twisted though. O'Neill's striking did not look super technical. Let's be honest about this. Like her striking was very powerful and brawly, but technical, no. I mean, this was her overhanding, windmilling these shots. They were effective for sure. She landed them. I think that the pressure was very impressive to get her to that point. But again, I go back to that earlier note about if Fernandez was instructed to allow O'Neill to take that lead, then O'Neill just took the handshake and said, "Okay, well then I'll lead the dance."
She's Scottish, dude. She's a brawler. I mean, I know it says Australia, but she was born in Scotland. She's a brawler. I don't care what I don't know. I don't care what it looks like. She just has these, and she knows that she can use them any way that she wants. And it may bite her in the butt later, but as it stands, I don't know if you saw the record. She has like the fourth most finishes in the women's like history or some shit like that. I don't
Yeah.
even know what that's about.
True. Yeah. No. I mean, great. And she's training out in Thailand. She's getting the good Muay Thai base there for the striking. So anytime that you see a female finisher, people, you take note. So this was egg on my face on this one, thinking that Casey O'Neill, did not really. I mean, the thought process was she's out for a long time. You don't know what she's going to come back like, that kind of thing. She came back and did the damn thing in a big way. She gave Gabby a nose job in this fight. You saw the crook that she ended up with.
Oh, I didn't.
Oh yeah. That the bridge of the nose was a little bit out of whack after that one. So yeah, this was a great deal for her on this one. I would say personally that maybe with the Muay Thai base, maybe she tightens up the technicality a little bit. But if the brawly style works for her, but man, you know what? Screw that. I take back my own statement, because what we need right now, Chase, what we need is women's brawlers. We do not have many women's brawlers. It seems like a dying breed of the women's brawler, if we ever even had it to begin with. So Casey O'Neill, you go out there and brawl your face off.
Hell yeah. Do I have a co-main event for you, brother?
Yeah, no shit. Yeah, well, we'll definitely talk about that for sure. But yeah.
Last thing I want to say, I know I shouted out CTE like 4 different times, but my apologies, Johnny the God and Meat Rocket. You guys are awesome. Thank you for not getting mad at me for just ignoring you for like 17 different comments. I appreciate you guys. I'll give you one real quick. O'Neill is a Guru Slum as well. I don't know what this one means, but shout out them. And then Johnny, oh no, I just read yours. And Meat Rocket, O'Neill has a future in Zuffa boxing. That's how good she is. God damn it.
I like it. I'm good with that, even if I'm not good with Zuffa boxing. So
hell yeah, they're ops to thinker.
Not to you though, Chase. You go and watch to your heart's content.
Dude, Sundays, I can't make them. I'm sorry, guys, not yet. We got to
All
make
right.
sure the channel pops off, and then Zuffa Sundays is locked in.
I like it. All right. Well, then, yeah, go make sure that you're subscribed to youtube.com/@CP Smalls.
But now the boxing talent in Zuffa is awesome, but the talent that we have in the UFC is it's no match, of course. Look at this next fight, everybody. I love this one.
Yes. So next up, of course, was Marcin Tybura versus Tyrell Fortune. Who won this fight? Bruce Buffer didn't seem to know, but we can get to that at the appropriate time. We didn't know too much about Tyrell Fortune aside from his, his time in other promotions. Record was not bad though. I mean, coming in with 17-3. Maybe should have given this guy a little bit more status and a little bit more reverence than we were giving him coming into this thing. Tybura, of course, being a perennial heavyweight in the division for so long. It feels like Tybura has just always been in the UFC at this point. You know what I mean? He's just been around for so long. But I was actually really impressed with Tyrell Fortune. He came into this fight strong. He started off very aggressively. Got Tybura down. I was liking what I was seeing in a general sense out of this guy.
I would not say that I liked anything that I saw out of this fight. This one was not a good one. But it is what it is, aside from the funky stuff that we had at the end. What I will say about this is that when they read out the scorecards, I was thinking like, holy shit, no way no, because in my opinion, Tybura maybe skated by some of those rounds, but I was thinking Tyrell Fortune won most of them. So when the judges came out and they gave them to Tybura, I was like, holy shit, we
It,
fucking did it, boys. We fucking robbed the shit out of this dude. And then you get Tybura standing in the middle of the cage for like 15 fucking minutes, and then we'll wait for him to stand there, and then I'll let you go ahead, and we'll come back to him in a second.
Right. Yeah. No. Absolutely. I mean, the what tipped me off to it, or what really in the moment gave me the most like brain fry was when because Bruce started off the reading of the scorecards with the 30-27, and so I was like 30-27, bro. If you want to say that Marcin Tybura took round two, maybe I'd say maybe round three had you could make a somewhat of a case for one of those last two. Tyrell Fortune definitely took round one, but those last two rounds could have been, but I was like 30-27 for either of these guys seemed a little bit crazy to me. But like to say 30-27 and then 29-28 on two other cards for Tybura, yes, it was going to be like robbery of the century. And then and then the debacle. Apparently, Bruce Buffer shit a brick over this one.
Yeah, absolutely. The way that it happened, of course, and so obviously we're gonna come back to Tybura in the middle of the cage. He's still standing there because that's how long it felt. I don't know if you guys caught this. They just panned on Tybura, and he was just standing there, hands by his side, presumably waiting for an interview because he thought he just won the fucking
No,
fight.
it was because they had to go get Tyrell Fortune from the fucking breezeway. He was
Yeah.
already down, down back in the back.
And then so you see Herb Dean put his gloves back on. He puts his little black gloves back on, and then he comes back and he raises Tyrell Fortune's hand. And what's pretty crazy is the way that this happens because they brought him back into the cage. This is somebody who obviously thinks he just lost the fight, and then they raise the other guy's fucking hand. So the people who have money down on this, right? You were watching this. You watch Martian Tybura get his hand raised. You turn off the TV because you just won $1 million fucking dollars. Tybura just won you so much money to win by unanimous decision. He did it. I'm so rich. And then you see it get overturned, and then you see the money get deducted back from
Well,
your account.
that it's funny that you mentioned that. I saw a tweet today, and I might be butchering some of the details here, but there was somebody who I guess it took a gamble on it being a false positive, a false, the decision not being correct. Apparently, somebody saw the decision being read and placed a $600 bet or something like that on Fortune to win the fight at that point when he was like at a 1 cent or something like that. I don't know how all of it works on Polymarket, but that was basically the gist. Was he made like $60,000 off of this bet because just off the chance that this was a mix up. So congratulations to that guy. But yes, all of those people that you just were talking about, yeah, very very upset.
I don't know. Your story sounds a little fabricated. I don't know if I can believe that one, dude.
Just going with what I saw online.
Oh,
Take
okay,
it for
fair,
what it's worth. I can't guarantee it or confirm it, but
fair.
Either way, I mean, yes, this was a crazy situation with that. Hard to. I mean, really, I think the funniest part to me was if you go back on the replay, if you watch the replay of it on Paramount Plus, you can see when Tybura gets his hand raised, he kind of has this look on his face, like, "Yeah, we did it, guys." Like it was like, I think even he knew that it was an absolute bullshit decision. That's why when they finally changed it, even Fitzgerald said, he's like, yeah, Tybura is not protesting that, as he should not have been.
Yeah, no, Tybura, like you said, when he got his hand raised, he gave the nod, like, I'm just here, I'm just here for it, whatever. But you could totally tell, and I think I should have been able to tell you guys this before, or maybe somebody should have told me, and I should have caught on. Tybura is 100% just here for paychecks. I mean, he knows his skill set will, at worst, get you a boring decision. At best, he gets finished fucking early and he gets to go home. Like whatever the case may be, he thought he just won, half his fucking paycheck kind of deal. But thankfully, I guess they fixed it if that was the case. I'm of the assumption, I don't know what the fuck they got going on, bro. They clearly fucked some shit up. Bruce read the right shit and they're mad at him now. He spilled the beans. He was, Bruce has his ways. He sits over there and he listens to the judges. He reads their papers and that's how he makes his notes. How do you think it's already wrote on the note card? He knows what the real answer is. They made an executive decision once everybody started booing for the Polish guy. They're like, get him back, get him back, get him back right now. So,
Yeah, it's so crazy where we are in the sport, Chase. Like we've gotten to a point now, I would say that not even more than maybe a year ago, I would be like, Chase just saying shit. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, that's such a crazy thing that Chase would say something like that. Now, with where we are, what we know is going on, what we have seen happening with lines moving and things changing and reffing decisions, judging decisions, all of these things, it is hard for me to say at this point that there is a definitive no to that. Like, that there's not a narrative. We're going to talk about a fight coming up with that's so mind-boggling as to the dynamics of everything that like it really puts a lot of this into perspective as far as all of these things. So like, yes, I would say that does sound far-fetched, but I cannot say it is a non-0% chance that could be true at this point.
yeah, but
So
so going forward, if you guys are betting on Tybura, just understand that he needs a really bad opponent for him to just throw in a useless performance where he can just skate by with a 29-28 where he does not a thing kind of deal.
it's really true. I mean, that was going to be my point about Tybura at this point in time is just like based on what you see out. This was a very standard fight in a lot of ways when it comes to heavyweight. I mean, Fortune did come out pretty aggressively in the beginning, so I was happy with that. But those second two rounds were, I mean, it was a little bit of a coin toss, a slow game of tag between these two in those last two rounds. So, like, what I say about Tybura with that is, it's like he had every opportunity later in this fight to dig a little deep to start increasing the output, start doing anything, try to get him to the ground a little bit more aggressively, and he just don't. Like this is just he has one speed and it is slow. So like Fortune, I mean, I was happy with that first round because I thought it was definitive there. There are things to be desired out of him if he's going to stick around, but like Tybura really, I think, is the one to lay more of the focus on when it comes to this because like this dude just does not go. He doesn't go for it. Like he's got that. He is set on
He's
autopilot.
he's the bumbling buffoon. Like he just stands there and he's just a blob, dude. I mean, I don't know. He's just hanging around. I mean, and credit to him. I mean, he didn't get finished this time, but like when he does, it is a quicker performance. So that's grateful. 3 rounds is obviously pretty brutal when this guy walks in the cage. So
Yeah. So we'll see if they keep Tyrell Fortune around, and we'll see what happens next for Tybura, I guess.
Tyrell, 100% is like one of the more sweaty fighters that we've ever seen in the cage. Did you catch on to this? I mean, he
I
was dripping of sweat. Like, and I literally mean like from his face, like you could see it just pouring down. And it was after the first fucking 2 minutes. Like, I don't know. It's crazy.
I did not pick up on it, but it does not surprise me at heavyweight. I think somebody had said we should put him up against Ante Dalia. I mean, I'd be okay with that. See who really can come out aggressively in the first round.
True. Now, when Guzzi comes back from his
Eh,
whatever you want to call hiatus.
yeah, his sabbatical, his imposed sabbatical. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, all right. I like that one too. I'm good with that. So, any which way, this was certainly a fight and quite a kerfuffle at the end there.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, and to
Yeah,
note,
yeah.
and this is more context to go into the main event that we'll talk about later. But so Dana White made a comment about this, the wrong call. You know, he's like, "Oh, Bruce, he's so mad at himself. I'm sure he hung himself after that one." That was his joke that he made. Obviously, in context of what we learned about the main event, it was kind of funny that he threw that one
Yeah.
in there.
Wow. Good turn of phrase there, Dana.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, though, it is an interesting kind of thing to dig down deeper into what actually happened because did Bruce Buffer actually get it wrong or was he just the patsy? Was he the
It,
fall guy in this situation?
it makes you question how he mixed up Martian Tibura and Tyrell Fortune. I mean, those names look very similar to
Oh,
me, you
yeah,
know?
no. He definitely what was said was on the card. Like that I can almost
You would think
guarantee
they
you that.
hand him a card, or like, did they, how did they mix this up? You know, how did Bruce get the wrong information? You know, I don't know.
Yeah, these are the deeper questions, and it's really something worth examining at this point, I would
So
say.
imagine, you know, they would reach over his shoulder and be like, "It's that guy." You know, they point at his list of the fighters because you know he has all the pronunciations on his little note card. They'd be like, "It's that guy." And maybe they just missed it and poked the next guy over. You know,
Well, these are the questions, though, as far as how it actually works at that point. Like, what actually does happen? Do they actually give him a piece of paper? Does he write it down himself? Do they say it out loud? Is there something that he reads? Like, I don't know what the details of that are. It would be interesting to know those things. But really, to me, it's the bigger point to take away from it is just that like there was a weak link in the chain somewhere. Who was actually to blame? And again, who is going to take the brunt of that, if anybody? Because it just seems like things get fucked up all the time and nobody has any repercussions.
sweep it under the rug, brother. We go on to the next fight, and I tell you what, there's more scandals coming. So
Of course there are, but this one right here, I mean, scandal. Yeah, I will have to talk it through to see if I'm in the same line of thought. This is Chase Hooper versus Lance Gibson Jr. I want to give a big shout out to our good friends over at the 10-7 MMA. Dino over there was saying that this was a trap, and I thoroughly admit that I walked directly into this trap. What I said on our previous episode of this show was that Lance Gibson Jr. looked real bad in his debut. Granted, it was a short notice debut, 3 days notice, he said, against King Green, who is a hard person to game plan for. He's got a very unique style. I said that he needed to have a complete reset. You take that fight and throw it out the window. You are coming in completely fresh. Show me something. I'd say that he did that in this fight, regardless of the wonkiness at the very end. What did you think, Chase?
I mean, solid performance from Gibson. I mean, nothing really stood out to me. I mean, obviously he showed up and showed out, you know, and had a good post fight speech kind of deal, but he he didn't show me much more than a basic combination that he could hit somebody with kind of deal. And obviously the stoppage we'll talk about. But Chase Hooper, I think it's been 2, 3 fights now. I mean, even before the Hernandez fight, I was saying like, yo, when he fought Borshev, you know, the shot that he dropped him with, he didn't even know he was doing it, dude. He just threw you know, he has this thing where he throws the motions out there, but he has like no idea that he's like gotta instinctually pick this shit up. So you even see this in the fight. Like he's out there boxing real freely. He's throwing a bunch of kicks. Like he's looking real good. Hands are out there, chin is up, throws a combination and just gets fucking cracked and then just falls to the ground and then gets fucking kicked in the face while he's trying to get up. Like it actually didn't really land in the face, but from the camera angle, you would think he got kicked in the face. He's falling over. This Lance Gibson dude is making Chase Hooper look like some fucking bitch. Like it's really bad at this point, but it's not horrible. You know, it's still manageable. Chase Hooper is still on his feet, and then he falls down into his guard, and then the fucking ref dives in between the fucking fighters. Like it was so bad. Like, you know, it's bad. Like, okay, if one person's kind of going out and unconscious and then he grabs the ref's leg, okay, one deal. But normally the other fighter is like trying to get away. No, both of these dudes were like wrestling with the fucking ref, bro.
Oh,
Like this was bad.
yeah, no, I mean, I said in the notes it was elbow staggers Hooper plus two high kicks thereafter. A knee drops Hooper, then the ref tackles them both. I said like the ref just literally like it looked like he was like belly flopping onto the two of them at that point. Like this was not him stepping between them; it was him inserting himself into the fight as a participant.
Dude, it was it made me so mad when I saw it because like Chase Hooper obviously was rocked. He got hurt, but he is really deadly on the ground, to not give him an opportunity to fight through it. We've seen him knocked out and we've seen the fight stopped. You're never going to let him get better if you can't give him the opportunity to fight through adversity. He got to his back. Charles Oliveira is most deadly on his back. Chase Hooper, we had always been saying, like, he has the potential. He's still, listen, Charles Oliveira took a lot of losses, but Chase Hooper, when the fight got to the ground, that is where he needed it to be safe. And he got to the ground, and the ref is in his fucking guard, apparently. Like, I
I
don't know what's
Well,
happening,
and it's
dude.
like he was like mid-roll too, you know what I mean? Because
Yes.
of like where the referee landed on the two of them, he was kind of rolling through.
I'm
So
surprised he didn't hurt Gibson, bro. Gibson like was like landing with his arms like out, and the ref is like kind of like falling on him. Like it looked dangerous. And I was sitting here thinking, like, bro, he won is doing way too much. Like in this sport, obviously there's a fine line, but like sometimes you can just tell, like, bro is doing too much. Like, you took your job a little too fucking serious here today. Like, you thought you were like, I know it, saving someone's life, yes, you are in a sense, but like, you got to understand, Chase Hooper was not fucking dead. He didn't, contest it, whatever. But like, he's a humble kind of guy. That's fine. But like, bro, ref, you literally were about to get choked out by Chase Hooper in 3 more seconds. So
yeah, well, I mean, and that was going to be my counter argument to this, and I've been seeing everybody is pretty well in agreement. This was an early stoppage. I will say that I see that it was an early stoppage for sure, but what I will say is that he did not protest this, and it's hard for me to think that as out as he was at that point, even with him still being eyes open, that he was going to have the wherewithal to start turning it into ground game.
the thing is, and I'm not arguing it, we're going to talk about it here in a little bit too. I'm not arguing that the fighter would have won past the stoppage. I'm just arguing that they could have went a little longer so you could solidify to me, so I can be content knowing, okay, that's all that he had. But when I see the sequence, I know that there was more from Chase Hooper right there. I knew that there was just a little more that he could give, and maybe it didn't work out that he won the fight, but maybe he was able to get back to his feet. That's really when life brings you down, guys, and you can get back up, it is just something to behold. And the ref took that opportunity away from Chase because he wanted to insert himself in the story. You know, that's really what's key. You got to be so good at your job that we don't notice you, like, but if you get noticed as a referee, I mean, that's the bad part. You're taking away from the fighters. Like, that's the problem.
Well, I have always said that refereeing, I come from live entertainment. Refereeing is like running the spotlight. When you are a spotlight operator, the best compliment is that no one notices you operating the spotlight. If anybody does notice that you are operating the spotlight, you have done your job poorly.
Yeah,
That's basically the same thing here.
the thing that I want to say, and because Johnny the God, if Chase wants to be a high level, he needs to change his diet and maybe a better fight camp to improve lightweight, and it is a dangerous division. The thing that I want to say about Chase Hooper, and I'm making assumptions here. Chase Hooper is one of these guys that is memey. He gets on Twitter and he's a funny person. That, again, you can have that type of persona and you could be, having jokes about your wins and losses, but like, you got to start panning out for people to really fucking give a shit. I think for a while now, Chase Hooper, and I could be wrong about the team that he's with right now, but he'll normally just walk out with like 3 or 4 black dudes, and like, you're just supposed to assume, like, oh yeah, he's fucking good at striking, he's fucking good, he can do whatever he wants, and then he's not good at striking anymore. Can we get him to a real gym with a striking coach? Trevor Whitman, where are you at? You can make my guy really fucking good. Like, I don't know what's going
Well,
on here.
yeah, and that goes hand in hand with the other comment that I was going to make about Hooper. It's like, yeah, well, first of all, I mean, to your point about him being a jokey guy, you got to win your fights. Point blank period. It doesn't matter. Point blank period. This sport, it's the Sean O'Malley syndrome right there. It's like you can do whatever you want. You can have your hair however you want. You can say whatever you want. You can do anything you want in MMA. You got to win your fights. Point blank period. That's number one. Number two, Chase Hooper, yes, he is still young, but he is not the little kid that people still want to think of him as. Yeah, he's got a baby face. He's 26 years old. This kid is old enough at this point that these losses are starting to become a little bit more of like who he could end up being, as opposed to, oh, he's still growing into the sport. He grew up in the sport. This dude has been here so long. That's why everybody thinks of him as a young kid, because he's been here since he was like 18 or 19 years old. that time has to come to an end at some point. He has to become the fighter that he's eventually going to be. We thought he was already on that path. It would seem that he still has some work to do there.
I mean, Lance Gibson Jr., man, what can you say? I mean, he had a good setup and he won this fight. I mean, but what I would say, Alexander Hernandez won this fight also, kind of deal. I mean, he did the exact same thing, kind of deal. I mean, it wasn't as fun and it was a lot more clean, I would say, but Chase Hooper is just not somebody who can take shots. I kind of agree with the BJJ takes. I mean, he's kind of just not that fucking dude. He's just kind of being soy right now. Like, dude, I'm telling you, I think CTE is kind of cooking with the Thailand. Yeah, go to Thailand for 9 months. I think that's a good idea. We need him to get to a legit place where they're teaching striking, like real striking, not just doing the motions. Like, bro, you need to fucking spar with some people that are gonna fucking punch you in the face. Like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, no,
I
I
don't know.
agree. No, I agree completely. I mean, and again, this is the time. I mean, the dude is 16-5. This starts turning into 16-6, 16-7. Now you start getting into a territory that really doesn't look good. And then, if this really keeps going on, now, I mean, this is a 2-fight losing streak at this point, right? I mean, I don't know if he had a
Two
third before.
knockouts.
Yeah, two losses, two knockouts. This adds up. I mean, we've been seeing people who have been around for a while getting cut, at times here. There was just recently a whole purge of people whose names that you would recognize all being let go. I'm not saying that Chase is in that position right now, but it's on the horizon if you don't make the changes now. And like you say, if you are only proficient in one area, then you are not a mixed martial artist. You need to be a mixed martial artist in this sport, or you're not going to go far.
Yeah, I think again CTE with a good one. Shootbox for 2 3 years. I don't know. Chase Hooper, he's got to do something, dude.
Take your pick of the striking schools, you know what I mean? But yeah, on the other side, though, I will say that this is a second chance at a first impression for Lance Gibson, as far as I'm concerned, anyway. And he looked better in this fight. Now you could chalk it up to Chase not being that great, but I mean, I look. Had this been his debut, I think that people would be like, "Oh, that's somebody who I can watch out for." Perhaps, I mean, that's certainly the building blocks of something. So I want to give a little bit of credit where credit is due to Mr. Lance Gibson Jr. here. I think I misinterpreted what I saw in the Bobby Green fight, but you got to go out there and do it again now.
I actually I don't want to be a person where he would watch and be like, "Damn, I knocked him out, and you still can't even give me my props," kind of deal. So I will give him props. You did come out here and knock out somebody that everybody had hopes in. This was the next guy up. He's supposed to walk through you. You defied everybody's expectations. Stoppage aside, I don't think I see the full package yet. I obviously have not seen the full skill set, so I will leave the opinion for the next time that I feel like I do. But as of right now, Lance Gibson, good finish. You definitely you upset a lot of people.
Yeah, well, and that's why I say do it again, and then you're solidified at that point. You know what I mean? Do it again, do it more definitively with the stoppage, all those things. You are now this is what you win out of this fight. You now have the opportunity to stay around to do it more.
Yeah,
So do it one more time, make us believers, and we'll go on from there.
absolutely.
All right. Well, that takes us to the featured prelim here. And if I crashed out during the Simone versus Yanez fight, this might have been one of my most major crash outs on stream, possibly of all time. This is Ignacio Bahamondes versus Tofik Musayev. Justice for Ignacio Bahamondes. And what I said too is that I don't give a single fuck what the card said on this one. I don't care what anybody was saying after this fight in any region of the world, walk of life, whatever. Ignacio Bahamondes won this fight. I don't care about any of the and I'm not saying that he won necessarily off of what he did based on the on the actual motions of the fight. I'm saying he won this fight based on being the man who had to go through hell illegally. He went through illegal hell in this fight. You talk, Chase, a lot about how this is just part of the game. You got to be cool with the illegal stuff. This tested that at the highest level, I would say.
I think you're honestly agreeing, or not agreeing. I think you're honestly cooking because I agree with you. I think Bahamundes, and actually, I don't even think you're wrong. You're saying that Bahamundes won this fight no matter what anybody tells you. I mean, if you actually take away the fouls, I mean, points should have been deducted. I mean, he probably does win this fight
Oh,
and or draw
absolutely.
at worst. But this fight, believe it or not, and I know for the people who are people who don't like things like this, I can definitely agree with you that there's no place for fouls and for dirtiness in the sport, but I will agree that there are some people who that is their fighting style. That is how they fight. They are to bend the rules and win in every way. It is a fight to them. That is how you win a fight, is you do whatever it takes kind of deal. And unfortunately, that just happens to make banger fucking fights. I mean, this was a really fucking good fight. I mean, it was good because holy shit, what's going on kind of deal. First round, whatever. We get to see some good striking. I kind of forgot how good Bahamundez is. When I took my pick on the sheets, we'll talk about it later. I definitely took Tofik as because he's the striker. This is the guy that's going to be striking for them. He's got to be good. Now I was wrong about that because I definitely forgot. Like Ignacio Bahamundez striking is really fucking good. The thing that I really was unable to respect in the last performance with Tofik because he was going against Miktabek is this dude actually has some really good ground control. He's actually able to maul some people on the ground, especially if he shoves them up against the cage and is able to headbutt them and do all these other illegal strikes. He's definitely able to win. This fight, though, the second round, absolute madness. You get a drop from Ignacio to Tofik at the beginning of the second round. And then Tofik works his way back up. We get Ignacio back, or I'm sorry, he works his way back up. And then Ignacio goes for the suplex, and Tofik grabs the cage with both hands. You can see the cage flexing. When he lets go, it vibrates back. So
Oh
the
yeah.
ref clearly has no idea what's going on. The ref doesn't even make a note. No, the ref doesn't say anything. Go
Where
ahead.
was he looking? What was he? That this was my thing. I was trying to see it on the replay as to what he was actually looking at when that is. It was so. I mean, look, I'm trying to be a little bit more. Try to be level headed about this. We had a camera angle that was perfect for it on the opposite side. I will admit that, but the ref was right there. When you're looking from our perspective, you see the fighters and the ref on the other side there. He's looking at the camera. We're looking at him. What was he looking at?
I don't even. It's not even about looking. But as a ref, I mean, you have to understand when certain fighters get into certain positions. I mean, how would he have just gotten back over to the cage? He was lifted. From your point of view, you see the other guy lift backwards and you see both of them going this way. How does the momentum go back over here kind of deal when the other person's not even on the ground? The ref miscalculation here. Don't even know what happened. But of course, so we get back to the ground. Ignacio's on the bottom. Ignacio, as well as his striking may be, and as tough as this dude is, he needs to fucking give it up going for fucking submissions. Just get up off the ground. The elbows looked really good. I actually thought the elbows were really good. Dude, there was this one, my head even fucking hurts right now thinking about it. Dude, he landed this elbow so fucking hard on the top of Tofik's head. And like, dude, oh, God, hurts. If he was able to do that more, it would have been awesome. But he kept trying to go for, they're over here sitting. Anderson Silva did this for 4.5 rounds, and then he finally got, give me Ignacio, boo, get the fuck off the ground. I saw you do it a couple times too, brother. Like, just get the fuck up off the ground. He's hooking the leg. He's hooking the leg and blocking his head with the same arm. Like, I don't. He
Well,
lost a
yeah,
lot. He lost a lot of blood,
well,
guys.
and that's what I was going to say is that it speaks to what you're saying here because what ended up being the sequence that the start of the sequence that was where the cut happened was Bauman just going for the gilly, and it's like, bro, don't be silly. Jump the gilly is a meme for a reason, my guy. Like now we grabbed it. We know all of the other stuff that happened there. So yes, he gets the goes for the gilly. Musayev escapes. The heavy elbow is what opens Ignacio up, and good fucking Lord, was it a bleeder? I mean, this was one of the real bleeders that we've seen in quite some time here. I mean, like this was a lot of blood throughout the whole rest of this fight.
It was a pretty interesting one too, because normally when they bleed like that, it's kind of top of the head, potentially maybe right on the eye. Normally the forehead cut, it does bleed. But we've seen like open fucking wounds on the forehead, and we can see clear as day in there. It's not just fucking gushing blood. This was more like a bullet fucking hole. Like this was just a little fucking hole and just spewing blood. The thing about this, guys, the thing about this is at the beginning of the third round, they let this fight go on. You cannot sit here and tell me that as the fight drug on, I truly believe this. It's not Ignacio was was gassing out. I truly believe he was starting to like get woozy or something. Like, bro, he lost a fuck ton of blood.
Yeah,
Like
pints of blood.
that's so much blood that like it was a lot, and I feel bad for him. He was probably eating crackers, drinking orange juice. They had the IV hooked up to bro. Like they were doing a O positive. I don't know what they were doing, but they were getting him some blood after this.
Well, and
Go ahead.
sorry, no, I was just going to say, just to add on to that part of it. So yeah, he's bleeding all over the place. Quite clearly, it's all over the mat. And Musayev, this absolute slime ball, goes in for a headbutt on top of that. Also very illegal after the illegal moves that he pulled there. And then, I mean, I've seen the screenshots. I was trying to figure out exactly where it was on the broadcast. It was hard for me to isolate it, but apparently went for a bite as well.
Yes, it's at the end of the third round. It's listen. I'm not gonna say I didn't see his mouth bite down, but he had his mouth open, and I mean, he kind of put it on his arm. In the moment, I was like, I remember saying, like, did he just fucking bite? But
Yeah, this was not
it,
an Igor Severino situation, but
correct, yeah. But this was an interesting fight. There's one shot of Tofik at the end of the fight, and he's covered in the blood, and he just kind of does his little battle cry or whatever. And I'm watching, and I'm like, this dude, this is what some people expect out of the game. Like they're here to even when you look at Miktabek, bro, he was about to rip this dude's fucking arm off, and he was still trying. He was screaming his fucking heart out. He was trying, but he was screaming. I Tofik is a fighter. As dirty as you may say it is, he didn't get any points taken by the officiating. Nothing reflected in the scorecards. And it's unfortunate, but that's just how the game goes sometimes. And it just so happens to be, you know, Tofik is not liked by some people, and he's not going to be liked for more of this. And some people get a certain rep, and I hope personally, me personally, I like if somebody feeds into it. If you're going to be the dirty fighter, I mean, just don't get caught. Just don't get fucking caught. But then when it catches up to you, you know, then it's going to be a real win, because that's what makes it great. If Tofik is going to cheat for the rest of his career and he, be dirty and be unlikable, whatever you want to say, when the one fighter that comes along beats him clean, has no outside bullshit, no asterisks, that's what's going to make it so much better. When he's finally we were waiting for that with John Jones all this time. The
true.
one person was going to come that was supposed to be DC, but either way, it's the story that's being built. I hope Tofik is somebody who can do this, because we don't get many narratives of the people who are just they're going to do anything to win. And by anything, we see a lot of anything in this kind of deal. And in a way, I think certain people, and even myself, I respect that type of fighter kind of deal. Like he truly is in the fight for a
Yeah,
fight kind of deal.
going full on heel, just to be like, this is me, this is how I fight, whatever, fuck you. I
As
understand.
long as you don't get caught, I mean, if you start getting points taken, and obviously when a narrative builds, they're going to be watching you with a finer comb. But if that's going to be your character, bro, throw the pocket sand, brother. Get him out of there.
Well, I certainly am not of that mindset. I can understand why it's entertaining, at least. But yeah, I mean, this certainly, like, talking like WWE style here, where it's like heel versus babyface. Ignacio certainly showed. I mean, he's now become by de facto a babyface based off of this.
And
Yeah.
and that's what's good too about this sport is, like, even in defeat, we didn't need to see Bahamundes even win or come in remotely close. We know that he got screwed over. Like, as soon as we saw him get screwed over, it's like, oh, they fucking threw it in for him. This motherfucker
Well,
just stay in there, kid. You can do it.
and that's why literally what I was leading up to is that I was you go back to the watch along, watch the VOD. I mean, I was screaming at the end saying, wanting Ignacio, because he got that reversal of position with a minute left on the clock. I was like, this is your chance. Please get this finished. Put this fucking dirtball out of here based on everything that we had seen. I was like, I hate it for him that this bullshit stands based on not getting the finish. So it sucks for that reason. Yes, from an entertainment standpoint, I can see it. You got a new villain to hate on, because everybody, it's like Hydra had said it earlier, or no, excuse me, a CTE had said it earlier, saying that, I've never seen the MMA community all kind of come together to hate somebody as much as they hate this guy. I hope that that's the case, because this is an absolute dirtball of a fighter here, Musayev. And this, we talked about the Orlabai fight. He was dirty in that fight too. CT was posting a whole bunch of clips from there where he was doing dirtball shit. So, I mean, like, this guy is exactly as you're saying. He is a dirty fighter. So that is now the narrative, and he's either going to have to overcome it as far as changing his ways, or he's going to have to get chopped down. And that is what everybody wants to see now, I would say. So we're waiting for it. Book this guy again. Quick turnaround.
Yeah, hell yeah. Drew Dober, where you at?
Hell, for real. That'd be that could be the one, even though that would just be another one where it'd be like, building up the heel where he beats him too. And it's like, is that the best you got?
Yeah, exactly. But we need an American hero now. God damn it. Where's
Hell
Michael
yeah.
Chandler?
Yeah, for real,
Shout
right?
out Johnny. I stole him.
Indeed. Well, yeah, I appreciate you guys. Thanks again to the chat. Appreciate all you
Yeah,
guys hanging out
Lachlan, I
with
see
us.
you.
Hell
Appreciate
yeah,
you.
most definitely. And Hydra is here too, so shout out to Hydra. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, I mean, I guess there's really not too much else to say about this thing. I was very upset with this. Really more upset with the commission, as always with this kind of stuff, man. Like this, it's it's on the fighter, of course, but it is on the commission. It is on the referees. And this is why when people say, oh, it's it's a very tough job. I am the first person to say that. I understand how hard of a job it is, but these are the times where it matters the most, is that it's a hard job and you have the right people who do it correctly, because this could have been a completely different fight and it could have been Ignacio Bahamundez's win. So just, really, that's why I feel so passionate about it.
So, what do you think? Because this is actually an interesting situation, and I think it's a good question to break. What do you think is the right thing to have done? Because he did three different offenses. If you want to say, even just give him, just say he bit him to, just say he's going for it. As the ref, you would read that as, oh, he's going for it. Anyway, so you have a cage grab. Okay, so that's one offense. Then you have the headbutt. Is that a second offense, or is that a second warning of a first offense? And then you have the biting, potentially, whatever you want to say.
Well, I mean,
You,
sorry.
go ahead. Well, yeah, I was gonna say, do you read these all as individual offenses, or by the bite? Are you like, yo, this dude's clearly just fucking a rabid animal. He's
Oh,
got to be and DQ him. Like, what's the deal?
so yeah, so the way that I look at it, and this is based on the current structure of how they do things, I look at it as to the severity of the infraction. So to me, the cage grab was an instant point deduction as far as I'm concerned, because it was in a sequence that changed the entire trajectory of the sequence. Like that was a self-preservation maneuver that worked in his favor. That is as an illegal move. That's where it's a hard line for me, because you stopped a takedown at that point. That could have been a completely different sequence that had been negated because of what you did. So I would have said point deduction off that first one. If you want to say that that's a warning, then fine. It would be warning. Then for the headbutt, that would have been point deduction. The bite would have been either second point deduction or DQ at that point. That's how I would look at it.
Okay, yeah, I don't know. This is just a crazy one to review. When I watched it again too, I still think back. I watched that bite and I was like, dude, he might have tried to, man. He might have tried, because he was trying to slide that arm in. But it's just an unfortunate fight. But I think Bahamundez only gained stock, and I think it's great for him, because after his last fight, I mean, it didn't look that great. He got the submission against Jalen Turner and was looking good, but he had a fight after that. I forget against who it was. That it didn't look very good.
Yeah, no,
Um,
I know which one you're talking about, but
but either way, so this was great stock for him. He really put the Latin chin to fucking test. I mean, these guys are animals. I mean, you are not going to
yeah,
put them out easily.
Fazeev was that fight, by the way.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, crazy loss to have, in my opinion. But either way, Bahamundez loved this. I still am a big fan of him.
Well, you're exactly right. I mean, this certainly raises his stock amongst the people, and that's really hopefully what carries him forth. I mean, you don't go through a fight like that. You don't go through all of what that fight entailed, not only the illegal elements of it, but all of the blood loss and the determination that he still had to win the fight. Going through all of that, that's a warrior spirit right there. I mean, you don't get much more dedicated to the game than that. So I think that his stock in the big picture does raise.
The last thing I'll talk about actually is going into the third round. It was pretty funny. So they're wiping Bahamundez. They're fixing the cut, and the commentary crew's going crazy. They're like, "Oh my god, he's doing the towel. He's doing the towel." And you see Bahamundez going over there. He's doing this. He's doing the John Cena, and they're like, "No, he's asking for. He's wanting to wipe his face." And my thing is, yes, very funny moment. I think I'm gonna make a video of him doing John Cena. But he wanted to wipe his face before the fight as if that was going to help him. Bro, they just did the whole cut work. It's not helping. You're going to
Yeah,
bleed.
and I was gonna say, like, they just put all of the Vaseline on to make it so that you're gonna wipe it off. Like, come on, bro. Yeah, it's not exactly the correct move on that one. But
He lost a
again,
lot of blood, though. Come on, give him credit.
I was gonna whatever this guy needs at this point, give him whatever he wants. He is the one who had been fouled into oblivion.
Yeah. No, so shout out Bahamundez. I really hope that, he was. I hope they didn't have to do a blood transfusion or something on him, because, dude, guys, if you have not seen the pictures of what the canvas looks like after this fight, I mean, god damn, this dude bled not all over one spot, but over the entirety of the fucking cage. Like,
Sure.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, absolutely. It really, yeah, it is. It's such a sight to behold. It really is. And
Not even a
yeah,
bad cut either, by the way, mind you.
yeah. Well, that is the craziest part because I remember Fitzgerald on the commentary saying that it reminded him of the Irene Aldana cut, which is the worst cut that I have ever seen in the sport.
This
And
wasn't that.
and that's what I was going to say. It's like it might have bled like that, but like it really was not as bad as far as the actual like the split on the forehead. So kind of crazy. That's anatomy for you, I suppose. But it was certainly a lot of blood.
My thing is, when do they stop it for the amount of blood? Like, that's my thing, because surely we've seen maybe close or if not more blood than this. But like, when does the ringside doctor say he's gonna have to, like, we need to stop? Like, you know how much blood he's lost? That's his whole leg right there, basically.
There was a fight. I forget now. I'm on the spot right now with this one, but there was a fight that I want to say it was a Chris Duncan fight, maybe outside the UFC that got stopped because of the amount of blood.
It was Nicholas Dalby, and
There you
yeah,
go.
Nicholas
Yeah,
Dalby has a fight that got stopped for the amount of blood. And to be fair, it looked like a lot of blood, but like, it was two people bleeding, and they were like bleeding into each other. So it was kind of like, all right, we got
yeah.
to we got to stop this shit. But like this one right here, one person bleeding this much to cover both of him and his opponent and the canvas, like that. I'm telling you, this guy needed some crazy work
Well,
after this.
if you listen to Dom, that's the thing I wanted to say earlier, and now this is the perfect time to say it. If you listen to Dom fucking Cruz on the commentary saying that every fighter should just be allowed to fight until their body is just turned to fucking pulverized mush. I mean, Dom Cruz is starting to get really annoying with some of this shit, man. I'm like, granted, I am a little bit biased against Dom. I think that he's a little bit pompous. All the things that you know about me when it comes to Dom and his joyless nature. But this is starting to get a little ridiculous with Dom saying that every fight just should, let him fight, let him fight. A dude could be having their face smashed into roast beef, and Dom Cruz will sit there being like, he's still good to go. Let him go out on his shield. It's like, Dom, you have to know that there is a logical conclusion to fights. DC should not be pleading with you to acknowledge that the fight is over. So I'm not saying that in this circumstance it was that. It was like a couple of the other fights that I had the note for. But Dom, for fuck's sake, dude, just know when enough is enough. Like you're not looking any more galaxy brain or tough to the audience by having that opinion at this point,
Yeah, absolutely. But no, this was a fun fight. I really like this one. But gosh, what a fucking mess.
Yeah, and I just guarantee you that now I mean, it's unfortunate that Ignacio is from Chile and not a more populated country in the UFC, because I was going to say Tofik Musayev has a target on his back now, and if Ignacio was Brazilian, I guarantee you that there would be a mountain of Brazilians all gunning for this dude in unison.
Yeah, they would showcase how many computers they do have, Chael. You would look out, brother.
Legit. So I'm sure that somebody out there is wanting to take this guy down a peg. So we'll see if that happens.
Yeah, that'll be cool, man.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to the next one here. We've talked that one through quite a bit, and this is a much quicker one. This is, of course, Terrence McKinney versus Kyle Nelson. T Rex, indeed, Rex again. Chase, what'd you think?
Uh yeah, no, this sucked. This was terrible. Kyle Nelson. I mean, I, what do you even think when you get the post fight and you get somebody saying that this, I was born here, this is my favorite place, I love being around, whatever the case may be, and it's a 24-second victory. It was actually kind of funny. I was in the Discord and I was like, all right, guys, get ready for, 2-minute performance. He's taking his time this time, you know. And then Mank responded. Shout out to the Mank in the Discord. He responded about 24 seconds. I said 12 seconds. So 24 is actually what it was. He said 12 seconds is what I'm going to go ahead and say. And then 24 is what it was. So double 12 seconds is how long this fight lasted. And it was abysmal. I mean, this dude fell to a kick to the shoulder, fell down to the ground, covered up, and had no intention to like get back to his
Well,
feet. So go ahead.
I was just that's really what was the craziest part to me was just the fact that the kick landed through the guard. I mean, like this, yeah. I mean, really, I don't, I hate to put it on these fighters in that way, but I mean, I got to highlight it. CTE's, sorry, this one, CTE saying, Nelson just didn't really want to fight, is what it seemed like, considering that he blocked the shot. Now, granted, we have seen blocked shots that have hurt people before, but he didn't go out off of the blocked shot. He just went down off of the blocked shot. So the kick lands through the guard. All the follow up shots also guarded. So he was covered up for everything that hit him and just still didn't fight back. I mean, I guess he just got overwhelmed, is what I'm trying to say, to be generous, but like he couldn't bring himself back into it once he got touched, is all I could really take away from this.
I did not see a person who was wanting to win the other half of their paycheck for their family. I saw a person who was content with showing up and getting paid. That's really all I saw. I mean, it looked as if, and I know we say this, and I say this about Tom Aspinall, but looking for the first available way out is one of the biggest reasons that you could lose fans, I would think. Like, if you come out here and you make it obvious that you don't want to be in there, I mean, I can't really say that I'm here to witness, the history, behind you. Because Kyle Nelson, the last fight was good. I thought it was fun. I was like, damn, Kyle Nelson, him and T-Rex, this will be a really barn burner fight. But then you come out and have something like this. And if Kyle Nelson, he wants to say, if he wants to sit here and say that, he tried his hardest, that was the best he had, he caught me off guard, I fell down, and the ref didn't give me enough, whatever you want to say. Uh, as a fan of the sport, what I'm seeing, 24 seconds, I mean, let's be real. This is a guy who lasts almost minutes with other people, and that's quick by his standards, kind of deal. Even so, he has never really left a lot of time, but you're going to let this guy get a 24-second finish that is not a flat line, that's not a real TKO kind of deal. It is just you covering up and just putting your hands on your head.
Well,
It's pretty unfortunate.
and that brings up a good point. And again, shout out to 10-7, because this is another fight that we were talking about on his stream and his pre-show that he does over there, where I was a guest. Like Terrence McKinney, he, like, if you take him into quote unquote deep waters, now of course you have to keep that into context here. Obviously, deep waters for Terrence McKinney is anything after minute number 2. But if you do that, if you can get him past that 2-minute mark, it's a completely different fight at that point. So all you really have to do with this guy is take him to that level of a fight. You have to survive for 2 minutes as a professional fighter who's, in theory, has all of your wits about you and the tools to do that. If you can do that, there is a path to victory for you on the other side of it. If you go down off of a shot through the guard and then don't make any attempt whatsoever to get back up, the perception is certainly how you're looking at it, Chase. And then the other part of it is that, you are like, knowing what we know as the people who actually like follow the sport closely, you're basically saying, I did not want to get to that other side of the 2-minute mark. You know what I'm saying? You get to the deeper waters with him, because that's all it takes to actually have a chance in a fight with Terrence McKinney, is a little bit of extra forethought, movement, something. This dude landed one low kick the entire fight. That's the numbers on the striking tell the tale here. One total strike for Kyle Nelson. It was a low kick that took the legs out from under McKinney for a brief moment. That's it. If that's all you're willing to do, this is a deserved outcome.
If you guys think back not too long ago, there was a co-main event, something like that. Waldo Cortez Acosta and Derek Lewis. After a certain amount of time, Derek Lewis just said, I'm done fighting, and he falls to a jab that doesn't really land.
Swift gust of air.
He falls over and he takes his TKO loss. I mean, if you guys wanted to get technical, he at least gave us 2 rounds of blobby heavyweights before he did that. Kyle Nelson didn't have any fucking attempt. This one right here, I mean, how do we say that we need fights to be investigated without them? Like, how do you not sit here and question this? How is this not a fight throw? How are you not going to tell me Kyle Nelson didn't throw this fight? Same thing with Josh Emmett. Like, how you just get submitted in the first fucking 13 seconds in your fucking 15 long year career? You're gonna tell me you've never caught on to it? Nobody's ever once done it? I don't know,
Oh,
brother.
well, I mean, again, it goes back to that point I made earlier. It's like there would have been a time where I would have been like, that's ridiculous. It's just one of those things, blah, blah, blah. Now there's so much cloudiness in this sport that it's questionable always. There's another fight coming up that is in that same similar vein. I would say that same thing about Rosa. So we'll talk about that when it comes up. But
Okay.
either way, I mean, Terrence McKinney gets a nice, easy finish here, does exactly what everybody expects. First round finish. You put that on your verdict, you get all the XP off of it. No performance bonus yet again for Terrence McKinney, another card that was finish heavy. So bro is lucky that the finish bonus itself is a thing now. But either way, I mean, yeah, the story of this one really is on Kyle Nelson. Kyle Nelson, who on 10-7's podcast or on his live stream, I had said Kyle Nelson, one of the Canadians I thought was among the better ones. So I mean, like, dude, this is really not a great look for our good friends in Canada.
What I will say is I kind of want to agree with Bleeding Edge here because I just had to double check and this is pretty crazy. But I want you to know going into the fight later that it is a statistical fact that Kyle Nelson had more strikes landed than Michael Chiesa in his retirement fight. So we'll just get into that later.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Hmm.
Yeah, I guess that's about it, really. A great win for Terrence McKinney. I guess this will be a general note. I'll tip the hand on it here. Another reason why I don't think that this was one of the best cards of the year is because the finishes, we do have a lot of finishes. As I said, I acknowledge we got a lot of finishes. Uninspired finishes is what I would describe these as.
I have said this before. I have debated with people about this plenty of times. Just because there are finishes does not mean it is good.
Yeah.
It means that you have people that are throwing in the fucking towel, man. Like they're just in there to get this fucking money and leave. Normally, if it's a good fucking card and you got some good competitive matchmaking, you don't see just fucking finishes in the first round. You don't see people just going out on the horse, on the high horse kind of deal.
Well,
So
and this is, it brings up the point of why this is so upsetting to me that this is like a narrative that could actually be true is that this is the highest level of this sport. These are athletes who, in theory, have trained their entire lives or many, many years of their lives to get into this position. This is where you are not. This is supposed to be separating the men from the boys, kind of thing here. Like, if you're tapping out of fights early in regional promotions or whatever, you're finding out if MMA is even something that you really want to do, or if you're cut out for it, all that different story perhaps. But when you're in this position, this is supposed to be where the elites gather. And to have this kind of conversation being anywhere near this sport that I love so goddamn much, it's very upsetting to me.
and to add it with all the other ones, I mean, just throw it in the pile of all the bullshit going on for this card. So
Yeah, exactly, exactly, and that really does paint the picture as to why this card made myself, and I guess by extension you, Chase, feel the way that we do.
yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, let's go on to the next one here. This was at least a better fight for sure. This was Mansour Abdul Malik versus Yusri Belgarwi. I had said or at least I acknowledged that Belgarwi, with the size that he has, was going to be very hard to take down, and his range striking was going to be a puzzle that was going to need to be solved. Mansour Abdul Malik obviously did not have the answers to that, and also I want to acknowledge that Mansour got very frustrated in this fight. I thought, at least towards like after the first round where he was not having his way, it looked like he was starting to get a little bit angry with how things were going. That might have played a factor into him getting a little bit reckless. And thus the puzzle is complete as to why Yusri Belgari had as good a performance as he did. I'm not taking away all of what he did, because obviously the striking was really good and we'll talk through all the details, but I do want to acknowledge that I do think that there was a fundamental, deeper problem with Mansour that I hadn't noticed in other fights. I'm kind of thinking that maybe when he doesn't get his way, things start changing in his brain a little bit. Just putting it out there.
This fight was actually interesting because Yusri is somebody that we had not been thinking was going to be that good. Of course, he had eye poke situations on his contender series, and then I'm pretty sure he lost to Marco Tulio was another thing that happened in his career. But I
Well, he was on the contender series twice, and I think that the first loss might have been to Tulio.
maybe, but either way, point is he looked a lot better in this fight.
Oh yeah.
He looked really good. He looked massive, guys. He looked ginormous. He looked in shape. It's not like he was super lean either. For a middleweight, he's not super lean. He's a really bulky kind of guy. I mean, not bulky, of course. Like he's obviously skinny, but like he's got some mass to him. He's a pretty big guy, and his striking is obviously amazing when it comes to, glory kickboxer came out here. He's competed against the best. He butchers Mansour's front leg immediately. Mansour is hobbling around. He's just throwing these big old lunges in here. He's just trying to get any way to get across the cage to Usry, but Usry is doing such a good job at defending all the takedowns. That's where he really looked very good. Is the takedowns just did not even matter to him. He was able to just get off the cage, get it right back to the striking. The problem that I think I have, and this is me just trying to find something that I would say Usry can latch onto to get better at. He took way too long to find this finish, and we'll talk about the finish here in a second. But the second round, I think, is when he could have pushed the finish on this one. He knew he had him hurt. He was hobbling around. We got 5 minutes. Let's just go ahead and put this dude out. But he waited, he's waiting until the third round. He's getting tired. You can tell he's a little gassed by the end of it. Again, he's a really big dude and he's doing a lot of movement. So he's gonna get tired a lot more than what you would expect. But the thing about it is this finish, right? This KO TKO. Why do I feel like the only person that's kind of questioning, like not questioning, but like it was a little early, no? Like
I mean, he was down. I wasn't. I mean, it was.
right, he was down, but like what does that mean? He just
No,
went
but I mean,
down
like
to the
he like
mat.
no, but I mean, he had taken a whole hell of a lot of damage up into that point, and then I mean, like I think it was really one of those ones where it was just like stop letting this guy get himself beaten up so much anymore.
It didn't even seem that bad to me, and then plus, when Mansour went down, it was a knee that landed to the chin and Mansour fell. Yeah, it looked bad that he looked like he was limp, but, like, when he got down to the mat, he was clearly there, and Usry's walking away with his hands on his head. It's like, the fight ain't even over. Like, that don't don't bail him out. Like I know Mansoor, in my opinion, he wasn't knocked out. He wasn't dead. We've seen lifeless bodies laying there after knees kind of deal. But he was still in the wherewithal, he didn't protest it kind of deal, but
I mean, he went
usually
down pretty heavy, is what I'm saying
he,
to that.
he did. I agree. But like we've seen people hit the mat. It's called a knockdown, it's a knockdown for a reason, The fight could have went on, and again, and this goes back to the other fight at the beginning, I'm not saying he was going to win after. Give him that extra second. Show me that Usry was going to walk away with his hands in the air and the fight wasn't even fucking over. I don't know. That's all that I'm saying. He looked like he was gassed. By the time he got the finish, I didn't think that he was going to be able to push the finish unless the referee stopped it before it got to that point. Like he was going to get Mansour on the ground. Mansour was going to lay there, and Usry was going to stand there, probably kick his fucking legs for a second. He wasn't going to go engage in the ground with him. I don't think. I just don't think that finish was going to come unless the referee stopped it preemptively. That's what I would say right there.
All right. I mean, fair enough. It seemed like a fine stoppage to me, but I mean, you chalk it up to this card kind of making everything seem a little bit out of whack and askew. So, either one of us could be not looking at it correctly. I would say at that point, So I'll chalk it up to you guys be the judges of how you feel that one looked. I see Hydra saying he thought it was a goofy stoppage as well. So, fair enough. I would say that at least about the fight itself, Belgari used his natural gifts to his advantage. I mean, that's really what he does well. We're coming to find out, he's a big, tall guy. He's a bulky, tall guy, as you said. Ranged attacks really on point for him. Stayed on his feet when Abdul Malik tried to level change a couple of times at least. Of course, he did end up going down, but he was able to figure that out too. Striking was solid. I do agree with you that like he's another person that maybe could use a little bit more of that awareness when it's time to start really turning up, because he did have him hurt towards the end of like I'd say the second round, and then going into the third there was like earlier in the third probably could have like he could have done it at the end of the second or earlier in the third. So yeah, I mean I will acknowledge that. I mean, really, again, I'm looking at it from the Abdul Malik side, though. I'd say he looked frustrated going back to his stool before the first and the second, which I said is understandable. But like it's you have to figure out the answers for that as opposed to getting reckless, which is what I think he kind of did a little bit. He kind of leaned a little bit too much on like his, I guess, core skills, which was the takedown attempts, which were not really working as much, and then did not have an answer for the striking. He did not have the ability to get past the striking range of the ranged attacks, and that was the one thing you absolutely had to do in this fight. So it's unfortunate.
I think it's just very telling. We often are waiting for people. We got to have them in that war. We got to see if they're gonna show us that they want to be in this kind of deal.
Yeah.
I think Mansoor, the first time in his career, it didn't go his way. I mean, he might have just showed us that it's just not. The heart's just not really there for it, kind of
Well,
deal.
I mean, they're definitely I wouldn't go that far necessarily, but definitely the idea that like if the fight's not going your way, then now becomes a little bit of a different dynamic. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like we've seen that from several fighters. That's a note I say a couple of times here. It's like if fights going your way, everything's great. If fights are not going your way, then all of a sudden everything changes. So it could be that. I don't necessarily say it will be. We'll have to see what happens in his next fight. But it was noticeable to me, is what I would say in this one. And a guy like Belgawi is going to frustrate a lot of people, I would say, especially at middleweight, which is somewhat more of a shallower division, at least as of right now. It's starting to become a little bit more active and a little bit more competitive. But at this level anyway, the unranked fighters, I mean, like there's a lot of opportunity here, and Yusri Belgawi is making a name for himself.
This is gonna be my hot take because I'm a hater and I want to put some, listen, usually this is my test for you because I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna say that before you are even able to make a threat in this division, I'm going to say that there's going to be somebody that we don't even expect that's probably just going to shut you out in the fight real soon. And not because I'm thinking you're not going to be all that guy, but like we've already thought that you weren't that guy. One great performance is not going to make me misremember that you weren't really him just a little bit ago. This was a great performance. Styles make matchups. You got to style out on one opponent. Now I need to see it again against a different style. Prove me wrong. But I'm going to go ahead and say that before this dude is out here tearing up the division, ranked opponents and this and that, we're going to get somebody that's not is some run of the mill guy. They're going to give him some guy that they want him to get a crazy finish off of. This is your glory kickbox. This is Alex rival. This, whatever you want to say, this is what it's going to be. And then some guy that's not very good, Cody Brundage, is going to fucking come beat you, and that's just what it's going to be.
I would, yeah, I was going to say that, if they really wanted to pull the hot shot maneuver here, Jared Cannonier.
That would be fun, man. He has not had a fight in a really long time, too.
Yeah, I
Shit.
mean, he's reaching the sunset point, so this would be one of those ones that it would be perfect for that, where it's like, hot shot new guy, older guy who's on his way out. This could be the humbling. Also, I did want to mention, based on what you were saying there, uh, don't let it be not known that him being Alex's training partner is playing into this narrative. Okay, what we've seen plenty of guys. Fucking Colby Thickness is a training partner of Volk, right? We've seen guys who are better than others that are training partners of the greats. It does not always equal osmosis that the guy is going to get all of those skills. I've been seeing the comparisons. Of course, I understand the comparisons. Big, tall guy, the striking is looking good. He's certainly learning from Alex, and I think that is a good thing. But don't get it twisted that just because this dude is Alex's training partner, that he's suddenly the mythical fighter that is the reincarnation of the currently still existing Alex Pereira. Like, I'm just saying, keep it in perspective is what I want to get away with that. Because I hear the narrative already. Oh, he's the second coming of Alex. Look the way that he moves. Blah blah. The Alex of middleweight. It's like, come on, let's pump the brakes just a little bit. And if what Chase just outlined happens, then maybe you get a little bit of a different perspective based on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, he has 3 losses already, so it's possible.
Yeah, yeah, and speaking of losses, Mansour Abdul Malik takes his first definitive one. So, 9-1. This is a fine time for that to happen. I hope that his temperament does not carry over into other fights. If maybe I'm making too much out of him being frustrated or whatever. Maybe I'm taking a little bit too
No, it was
strongly there.
noticeable.
So yeah, but that's what I mean. It's like if it was noticeable to me, who is not like trying to look for that specifically. I'm just saying, like, don't let your mental state affect, because the fight game is as mental as it is physical. We know this. You got to be in the fight, continue to have that drive, and not let these things like cloud who you are as a fighter. So hopefully, he comes back better.
100%.
All right. Well, then that brings us to the next one here that I had referenced earlier, and possibly the funniest fight on this card to me. This was Julian Erosa versus Le'Heon Douglas. So, what I say, Chase. How could you see Jay? This guy who's been in this promotion for so many fights. The guy is 31-14. Good Lord. He has not only been in the UFC forever, he's been fighting forever. How could this guy, Julian Erosa, have this low a fight IQ at this stage of the game. He's fighting a dude who came off the Contender Series with a knockout under his belt. Now, we talk about the Contender Series not being the best proving ground, but what it does show you at the very least is that the guy can knock people out. Julian Erosa is a guy that gets knocked out. Julian Erosa is also a guy who is really decent on the ground. I remember you saying Rosa by sub. I said that is a perfectly acceptable and valid thought process here. What was this dude thinking in this fight?
This was awful. I mean, I can't tell you what he was thinking. Again, I can't tell you it's not throwing a fight if you just decide to fight stupid, you know? Like Julian Erosa has been around the block. You know, he's been punched in the face. He's been knocked out, you know. He'll just wake up. He don't remember that shit. You know, whatever you want to say. But to willingly put your face into this dude's punches. I mean, it's not even the punches that like not even the significant strikes that were adding up. That it was literally him getting obliterated with a jab, and like he didn't think like once to hit him with the, like, you know, like, oh, you know, head movement. No, he just kept his face right there in the fucking punch, and then just started getting obliterated with these heavy hands. You know, Larry and Douglas, you know, doing a little gunslinger emote. I do kind of like it. I'm a big fan of Cowboys, but just get him a different opponent. Just Julian Rosa. You ruined the prospects' opportunity to make me not. I mean, obviously, I'm not a fan, but like, bro, you fought like a fucking idiot. You
You,
took
you
away his opportunity to
right.
look
You
like a star.
you became a layup. You know what I mean? Like you made yourself a layup when it didn't have to be that. You could have put this guy through a little bit of adversity to the point where it was like, okay, he actually had to work for that a little bit. But no, this is what I will say to at least offer a little bit of a counterpoint to that. Lehan Douglas definitely is vicious with his power shots. Like this dude was really swinging for these some of them. He wasn't landing every single one of them, so maybe his accuracy needs to get up a little bit. But when he was landing, I mean, it wasn't very hard when this dude's face, like you said, is directly in his fists. But he ended up at one point getting backed up, like Rosa kind of got him to the other side of the octagon, so he was backing him down, but he punched his way out of the box, and I was like, okay, that's at least showing me that like this dude is confident enough in his striking that like if he does have to retreat a little bit, he'll go forward with his strikes to get himself out of that. So I take that away. I also thought that the low kicks were very effective early in this fight for him. So there were certainly things that I liked out of this guy. But again, this was a handshake agreement. I am not going to try to take it. There was not a single level change, not even attempted, but not even feinted, Chase. Not a single one in any capacity, in any way, shape, or form in your mind could have been attributed to Julian Erosa. So if that's the case, this again, handshake agreement. I'm not going to try to take you down. I'm going to strike with you. Give me your best shot. All right, well, I'll do that then.
All that I'm really hoping for out of everything, I want Julian Erosa to see last week's predictions. I want him to see how confident I was that he had the ability to win the fight. I want him to understand, and I want him to acknowledge that I potentially had the better game plan. I like, that's all that I'm saying. Could I have gotten you farther than 3 minutes and 33 seconds by telling you, dude, I could have been in the fucking crowd. Shoot, dude, shoot, like do something. Grab a leg, feint a leg, dive at his fucking feet, pulling guard, dude. If you are getting your face destroyed, go for it. If you're gonna make it 3 minutes and
Well,
33 seconds longer, I mean, Jesus Christ.
you would have thought that he would have thought about that after he got wobbled the first time. You would have thought that would have thought about that after getting knocked down the first time.
Yes.
He stands up after all of those, and then this guy, Juicy J, Julian Erosa, has the nerve to call it on. He says, "Bring it on. I want more." I said, "Brother, you are laughable in this moment." Like, I mean, it really pains me to say that because I think he's a better fighter than what he put out here, but it's hard to say that when he's 31-14. How does this happen at this stage of your career? That's what I'm saying. Like, really, you go back to the watch along. I'm telling you, like, I was literally, like, I wasn't mad, I wasn't happy, I was laughing. I was like, I can't. How do you have any other reaction to this when this is what you're getting out of this fight? I'm just like, it was mind boggling what I was seeing.
Yeah, no, this one was bad, man. This one was not that great. Julian Erosa really let me down. I had no reason to believe in him as much as I did, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. Like I said, I if you remember, we talked a little bit ago, maybe it was last week and the week before, about, the new mindset, just enjoying the fights, just trying to enjoy everything you see. This one was a hard card to do that, but I would say this fight right here, you still got to see an exciting prospect, but it's just unfortunate if you know what you know. As the casual viewer, you saw this dude and you said, "Man, this guy's a fucking young killer. He's out here doing good things." But if you know the context that Julian Erosa potentially had, obviously he's not the favorite, but had all of the opportunity to make this fight something different, and he did not. It's just unfortunate.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I what I would say in conclusion, at least in my estimation here, is that I hope that Lehan Douglas can come out with that same intensity, maybe against somebody who does give him a better fight. See if he can replicate that. That'd be great. And on Rosa's side, I mean, after this and with the amount of losses and everything, are we at that point, Chase? Is it time?
You do this on
I'm,
after
I'm.
every fight for every
This
fighter.
is
Chat,
different.
catch
This is
on.
different. This is different. Come on, you got to admit this is different.
Okay, so he just lost to Melky Costa before this, correct? Which is somebody who's a very decently ranked, or a decent ranked prospect as of right now. Before that, he has a 3-fight win streak,
Okay, all right. I
three
didn't
fight
remember
finish
that.
streak.
All right. Oh, all right.
Darren
Fair enough then.
Elkins, Christian Rodriguez, Ricardo Ramos. I
I
mean,
mean, yeah, okay. Well, you just said those names, and now it's
but they're
okay.
finishes. They are
It's
finishes.
true. You are right. I take it back. I do take it back. All right, that does put it into a little more
So at least
context.
one or two more is what I
Okay.
would say. One or two more, and if he gives another layup on the next one, then for sure he's got to go. Because I would hope the UFC sees that performance and says, why would we give you another prospect,
And
to make a name off of?
also refresh my memory. How old is Julian Erosa?
Julian Erosa is 36 years old.
That's not even that bad. All right, I take it back. I do take it back. That was a little premature for me to say that.
He's just a vet. He's just hanging around, journeyman kind of deal, but just not the one that you should ever put money on.
I really just think it was the quality of this fight that just made me think that like there has to be something else wrong here. You know what I mean? Like you don't at this stage of your career. Again, I look at that record. I look at 31 wins. This guy has won 31 times.
If it's funny enough that you go back to one fight ago with the Melky Costa, he did the exact same thing. He just put his face right into the fire and just presumably assumed that he would not knock him out. And that's exactly what didn't happen. And he lost 30-27. But maybe he really thought Larian Douglas was just not going to break his nose off the first fucking jab. But that's what happens.
I
That's what
just don't.
happens when you have a pointy nose, fucking Julian Erosa.
I just don't understand at this point, having been knocked out as many times as he has, that he can't like he doesn't internalize that like I should just go to the ground. I don't get it. I don't understand
He's
that
a
mindset.
Chad, mate. He's not
I
a BJJ nerd. I give him props, I
Ah,
guess.
he's up there with Jamie Malarkey. All right, well,
Yeah.
fair enough then. Yeah, no, okay. Well, look, shout out to Lehan Douglas and Julian Erosa. You can stay, but I'm on to you, brother.
Yes, we've caught on. You got one more.
Yeah. All right. Well, somebody who's not two people who are not staying around, and this was quite a display here. We got to talk about this. This is Michael Chiesa versus Nico Price, and really, the story of this fight is not the fight itself, people. So let's talk through this a little bit, Chase. If there was ever the definitive Dana White privilege fight slash circumstance, this has to be it. Michael Chiesa gets a hero's introduction from Bruce Buffer to start this thing. They showed him walking into the arena, by the way, as well. So that's usually one of those things for like the marquee fighters. Guys, people, Michael Chiesa's in the building. Okay, get excited here. This is Michael Chiesa's time.
Hometown hero.
Hometown. I understand that, but that was also set up as part of this equation. So yes, he gets the camera on him when he's coming in. Bruce Buffer gives him the hero's entrance here. Former tough champion making his retirement. Nico Price is sitting there on the other side of the cage, also retiring, by the way, people.
I'm sick and tired of people acting like they give a shit about Nico Price and his retirement. Are you one?
But dude, they don't care about Michael Chiesa though either. You can't do it for Michael Chiesa and not. It's the same thing what you say about not caring about the reffing during one fight versus another. If you're going to make this big a deal out of Michael Chiesa and not at least acknowledge Nico Price's retirement.
Listen, I'm somebody who I'm fairly newer to the sport, so I don't know the decorated history of all these people, but I've seen people ragging on Michael Chiesa. He is a tough alum winner. Yes, he has also had some sort of a gifted kind of path, very favorable matchmaking, whatever you want to say. But guys, you're gonna sit here and ask why Michael Chiesa is getting a retirement send off and Nico Price isn't. First off, Michael Chiesa comes out and announces the next fight is going to be his last. Okay, then a fight gets pulled out, and then they have like 6 months or whatever it is to make a fucking video package and figure out how we're going to do it in his hometown or whatever. Nico Price announced like on Twitter, like, "Oh, I'm just not coming back to the UFC." Like, who gives a shit? Like, you're okay. Like, I don't know. Like, Michael Chiesa is somebody that the UFC, he has been a part of the UFC product for so long. Nico Price is somebody who, again, we go back to 3, 4 fights ago, gets knocked out by Robbie Lawler on his retirement. Another person who got a send off, and then Nico Price just got to sit there and fucking watch. Like, I don't
But
know.
it's, I mean, dude, you have two retiring fighters at the same fight. You mean to tell me that that all of this, you got the scale. You got one side going up, 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 and this dude just going down, 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 down because of it. Like, could it not be at least a little more close to even? I'm not saying it had to be 100% even. It could not be 100% even, considering that I didn't even finish all of the privilege here. So let me get back to my
Go
little
ahead.
narrative here. So Chiesa gets his big introduction, tough winner, making his retirement. Nico Price gets crickets. Michael Chiesa's wife gets moved to cage side. So I'm just that's somewhat unusual. People are saying that the fix might have been in, just because the narrative, the fairy tale, all of this kind of stuff. I'm not going that far necessarily, but it is a little bit of eyebrow raising that, why because if he had gotten his ass whipped, then that would have been a little bit weird to have his wife cage side. But I'm just saying, okay, so his
She
wife
still
gets
probably would have came in there because they were going to do the retirement package for him anyways.
fair enough, but she could have came from her seat. She got moved to cage side
It was.
specifically.
Do you see how far he had to run to his mom?
Oh
I
my
mean,
God. All right. Well, whatever. So let's keep it going here. So fine. 30 seconds this fight. Chiesa gets the tap very quickly in this thing. Easy peasy for him, whatever. Chiesa goes, as you said, runs out, hugs his family, doing the whole nine for the celebration. I said, I know that this is supposed to be heartwarming, but it really just reminds me of that podium meme with the champagne and like the guys up at the side, whatever. Anyway, let me finish. So then we get into the video package. And after all of that, absolutely positively nothing. And I'm not even saying that they needed to have a video package for Nico Price, but at least give the man a second on the microphone to say thank you. They ushered him out of the octagon. They said, no dice, brother. Come on, Chase.
the only privilege that I can see being valid, and this one really bothers me because, again, this is a sport. We take this serious. This is the highest level of it. You are not supposed to leave the fucking cage after your performance. How are you just running
They
around in the
told him
fucking
to.
crowd?
Oh, you mean for Chiesa? Sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, but like, how are you just running out and about in the fucking crowd? He just opens the cage himself, runs down, hugs his wife, runs down the fucking aisle barefoot. Like, I get, again, Michael Chiesa or not, it's a Hall of.
That was very strange. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. That was very weird.
Yeah, give a good 30 seconds. I think we are good and back on the air. Yeah, your stream is now back up. Okay.
What
Yeah,
did?
I
Okay,
think
yeah,
yeah, I'm back up. We should be good. But
yeah, I don't know what
continue on.
happened. Apologies, guys. I don't know what happened there. Something weird happened. But what I was saying is that Hydra brought it up. The prevailing thought is that Chiesa, basically, because he was in the bus that Connor threw the dolly at, that the organization said, if you don't sue us, we're going to make everything great for you for the rest of your career. And
Double
thus,
check, make sure you're live. I don't know. I'm refreshing you right now, but I'm not seeing this.
yeah, if you were in the chat, please just let us know. There was some weirdness going on our side of the world here. But
I'm live.
yeah, you hold,
I
please.
am not seeing that you are live right now. Not on YouTube, at least.
Hold, please. Hold. Stand by.
Yes, everybody.
Oh,
Hope you're
yeah,
having a good
no,
day.
yeah, it's sending data. Hold on, let me try this here.
Shout out Restream. They didn't want us to spread the word
I
about
know,
Michael
yeah,
Chiesa.
apparently. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here.
I don't know how that's working because I'm looking at my channel. I am live. So how is it not getting to
I have,
yours?
yeah, no idea. That's very weird. Yeah, give me one quick second to try something. No. Yeah, yeah, sorry guys. Stand by if you're hanging out with Chase.
Absolutely. Everybody
Yeah.
tuning in now. The bleeding edge. Thinker is not live anymore. Thinkerstrom went fully down. Yes, we are
Yeah,
looking into it right now.
we're working through it,
I'm
guys.
gonna keep you guys entertained for a second. Uploaded the video too. Yeah, it definitely did a whole
Yeah, no,
second
I know.
version of it.
It's just not. Yeah, it's just not coming back on YouTube for some reason. Um, t-
Mine picked up right where it ended though. I don't know how this is something's going on with your end. That's weird.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, something weird going on YouTube. It's not even letting me. It's not even letting me do it.
Shout out to the 6 people who just stopped by on my stream though.
I
Fuck
know.
yeah,
Yeah,
I like
really.
that shit.
Chase getting a nice bump off of this. Hold.
Hold the phone, guys. We are still locked in here. We have plenty more to talk about. Show is still on. We are just locked in. Chase, I can't believe you aren't hating on Kiesa. I normally would be. That's the crazy part. Same with Anthony Smith. Like I am one to just like, yeah, dude, come on, fight back, do something. Don't curl up in a ball. But like, let's be real, guys. These are pioneers of the sport. This is a guy who went on an earlier version of The Ultimate Fighter. Again, a show where you have to just spend a shitload of time with people you don't even fucking know, and then you have to fight them. Michael Chiesa was, built for this fight shit. Let's have some respect for somebody who is a journeyman, may or may not be the person that you guys love. I don't necessarily think I love a performance from this dude, but like, come on. Let's be a little real. If the UFC wants to give it to him, he just retired after landing 0 strikes. So this dude's a fucking G, I don't know. I don't want to be. I'm such a new fan. I think if you want the real answer, Hydra, I'm such a new fan in per se. I don't want to be the guy who would hate on the OGs of the sport because then I would be like, "Oh, you're such a new fan. You have no idea what Michael Chiesa has done for this sport," kind of deal. But I want to have some faith that this guy has given us some opportunities that we haven't had before, and the UFC benefited off of them. That's why they're giving him the spot in the Hall of Fame. Everything good over here, Thinker?
Yeah, no, I mean, apparently not. So, I don't really know. I'd say that the only thing I can think of is to try to go off and go back on one more time, but I don't
Go
know.
ahead. We'll do
All
that
right.
real quick.
Yeah,
Mine
so
will pick right back up, it seems. So we're gonna
I
try
guess
that real
so.
quick,
Yeah,
chat.
sorry guys. I apologize for the technical difficulties. There's something going on on Restream side, but bear with us one more time here. We're going to restart and hopefully be right back where we